control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all connected but separated, misunderstood and so frustrated. A million armies of one have invaded, watching you and watching me. We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye, we're the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching have taken over. We the people are little brother, standing by to dethrone each other, watching you and watching me. Paranoid, the lens is our weapon, desensitized in our lust for attention, democratized by our voyeur obsessions, watching you and watching me. Slaves to perfection, don't let them project you as you are. Reveal your every flaw. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye, we're the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Stay in line, don't make a mistake. We're watching. We've watched you for so long. We wait for you to fall. We will expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching
Let your experience begin right now. From high atop the mountains of British Columbia to you listening around the world, this is Spaced Out Radio. You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, on Twitter, @SpacedOutRadio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can follow us on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR, or on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride as we are live on Spaced Out Radio.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Said the deeper I go, the deeper I fall.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, and thank you so much for tuning in and listening in at spacedoutradio.com and on Spreaker. As once again we come in from the frozen Canadian tundra, battle our way past the wild animals, sidestep Bigfoot, and enter Uncle Jimbo's cabin, stoke the fire, heat this place up, and broadcast you live on this Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning if you're on the East Coast. Here at Spaced Out Radio, we are doing this thing 3 hours a night, 7 days a week. Why? We want to be your official one-stop shop when it comes to the ufological, extraterrestrial, spiritual, supernatural, and so much more. Hey, if you like our music, head to our new look Spaced Out Radio website. You can listen to the guitar god himself, Ron Bumblefoot THAL, formerly of Guns N' Roses. Check out a couple of his music videos by clicking on the Bumblefoot banner. You can also check us out on Twitter, @SpacedOutRadio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, you can follow me at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel, subscribe to it, is Spaced Out Radio Show. And of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. At this time, we say hello to those listening in on the SHR Media Network, in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, including first-time listener Richard Clemens in the room, all the way from the UK. Thank you for being an insomniac. I appreciate that. Also, you can follow us on Facebook at Euphoria Chronicles, Chronicles of the Unknown, Forest Moon Paranormal, and our flagship chat room that has Claudia back, the SOR Space Travelers. Hey, Space Travelers, you can now head to the Spaced Out Radio website and sign up for the SOR Space Travelers Club. It's just $5 a month, and we will be doing monthly prize draws for you, having you involved in private group interviews, access to a special section on our website, and much more. Hey, we're going to give you a hell of a lot more than just access to our archives. While on our website, you can check out our blog features. We have some great writers, including yours truly, and check out the SOR Space Wire. Spaced Out Radio's news editor, Eric Markham, has posted some great stories from around the world. Tonight's show is brought to you by Rivulet Reiki and Readings, providing healings in person or at a distance. PurplePlates.com, helping heal your body, mind, and soul. The new Agora newspaper is the official newspaper of this show, and the iTunes app Space or Spirit Story Box. It's the official ghost hunting app of Spaced Out Radio. Now, tonight I'm going to start off with a little bit of a rant before I bring in resident ET expert Samantha Mowat. Tonight the nation and the national anthem of Canada was pretty much embarrassed at the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. And no, this has nothing to do with Fox Sports cutting to commercial just in time for the Canadian national anthem, as they do every year. This time it came from the Canadian singing group, the Tenors. Instead of singing, "With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free," singer Remigio Pereira decided to go rogue and exchange the words for "We're all brothers and sisters, All lives matter to the Braves. Where he came up with this, no clue. First off, it's the Canadian national anthem. It's bad enough those political ass-kissers in Ottawa want to make the anthem more politically correct by exchanging All Thy Sons command, which is a calling on our soldiers to war, to All of Us command. But when this bozo goes out of his way to make a political statement dealing with another country, it's downright embarrassing, and this quartet should be shamed. Second, a national anthem is a sacred song. They are lyrics of a nation who fought tooth and nail to build up their history. It should never be changed for the sake of a political statement or political correctness. Can you imagine the uproar if someone changed the Star-Spangled Banner? Never mind the slap in the face to all of those who have guarded and fought for the maple leaf, including paying the ultimate price for this idiot to make his political statement for, quote-unquote, freedom. Hey, I'm going to tell you, Black Lives Matter, police lives matter, all lives matter. It's not the time or the place at the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Now, the Tenors, under the fire and fury on social media, have quickly made an apologetic statement saying Mr. Pereira went rogue on the lyrics and the other three didn't know what was going on. Apparently, he's been immediately suspended by the singing group, calling their partner a lone wolf and selfish, saying he won't be performing with the Tenors until further notice. But you know what? The damage is done. You embarrassed our country. You pissed off your fans here in Canada who have made you millions. Forgiveness will come, well, because we're Canadian. But maybe it's time to pick up a Canadian history book and for these boys to get their asses back in school. There are thousands of dead people and soldiers in 2 world wars. Never mind those who survived the horrors, who would love to have the privilege to be alive and to catch a Major League All-Star game for free. Sorry, needed to get that out. That's the Canadian in me. Anyways, to tonight's show. Samantha Mowat is a highly intuitive extraterrestrial contactee based out of British Columbia, just north of me. Samantha is a good friend of mine, and with her, in April of 2014, I had my first extraterrestrial experience. Coincidentally, it was also the day we met. Samantha is a monthly contributor to Spaced Out Radio, coming on the second Tuesday of every month to help you understand the ET experience. Whether the accounts are good or malevolent, Samantha has the wherewithal to lead people through what they are going through. Or, if you've never had an experience, she can help with that too. And tonight we're going to get into that. Her website is samanthamowat.ca. Samantha, welcome to Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you on for the month of July. It's always a pleasure, and you know what? You are quickly turning into one of our more popular fans. You know, people here are absolutely ecstatic when you're about to come on the air because you're so organic and you're so honest with your answers and your results from your own extraterrestrial contact. It's pretty amazing, I gotta say, how quickly you've almost developed a little cult following here. Well, I'm wearing plaid shorts, I'm not going to lie, and a blackish gray t-shirt. Yes. Okay. Samantha, one of the things that I would like to get into with you is that we reintroduce, and for some reason we are not hearing you on the air, and why am I not? Let me check out my microphone section here. Because you should be able to hear Samantha. And I hope that we are, there we go. Let's try that. Samantha, can you hear us now, or can we hear you? Yes, we can. We have levels.
Yay!
Yay!
Hi.
There you are. There you are. Anyways, like I was saying, and thank you, number one, Bill Cardwell, for pointing that out so quickly, and Nicole, I appreciate that. That was a little bit of a Skype issue there that something clicked over wrong. Anyways, we're going to get into it now. Like I was saying, you're one of the more popular guests on this show. You're gaining quite a little bit of a cult following. And I'm very proud of that, because what that tells me is our audience is really starting to understand that you're very genuine, you're very poetic with your words, you're very honest with your experiences. Have people always taken you at that case?
I haven't really had any resistance. I've only had a couple people on YouTube, but that's not a beginning. I think you come to expect that. But to my face, people have always been very comfortable with it and never any harassment.
I would like to talk to you about that, because so many people out there are so embarrassed to mention what is going on in their life and mention the experiences they have, for fear of the ridicule, for fear of the compartmentalization of society around them, because people will think you're strange, you're maybe a little psychotic, maybe you need to go see a psychiatrist or a doctor. Yet for you, it was different. You've always kind of had that support built around you. Do you empathize with people who have had those types of troubles, Samantha?
I empathize very deeply with them. I encountered a few negative situations not regarding to psychic abilities or extraterrestrials when I was younger, and so I do understand what it's like to be fearful of people ostracizing you or ridiculing you. But that's a completely different story altogether.
Do you think, though, that people should keep quiet about their stories because society probably isn't ready to accept anything like that?
To be very honest with you, I don't think being quiet is going to solve the problem. In my awareness, you need to bring things up gradually. You need to kind of test the waters with people. You don't have to go out and tell the first person you see your entire extraterrestrial or multidimensional encounter, but it might help if you were to, let's say when you're talking to people at work, you're like, hey, have you guys ever encountered anything really weird? Or have you ever seen something that you weren't really sure about? Or, hey, I thought I saw a UFO one time. Things like that, when you approach it more in a somewhat lighthearted manner, will be something people are more open to talking about and sharing their own experiences with. From my understanding, most people have had some really odd things in their lives, and under the right circumstances, they would share.
Do you ever kind of snicker or laugh when, everybody's that you talk to, when you've introduced yourselves and you mention those exact words, where you're sitting there saying, well, have you ever had anything weird? Well, no, nothing weird ever happens to me, but there was this one time I swear I saw lights up in the sky, or maybe a ghost in my house. And it's amazing. I don't know what it's like too much in the United States, because I've never really talked about it down there, but I know up here, for us Canadian people, we are very, very cultured in not talking about these type of experiences or anything to do with the supernatural or paranormal. So do you think it's funny when people all of a sudden will, out of the corner of their mouth just saying, well, I did see these weird lights in the sky?
I do think it's a little bit funny that they don't associate it necessarily as strange. But, Dave, all you can do is just smile and laugh, because when you smile, you make people more comfortable. When you laugh, you raise the vibration so they're feeling in a more relaxed state. The main thing is not to pass any judgment towards them, because as soon as your energy goes towards being judgmental, they sense it, they feel it, and they're like, whoa, I don't want to share all of a sudden. Then what could have been a wonderful experience for the two of you to share information and share experiences is now shut down and that opportunity lost. If that makes any sense.
I think it makes total sense, because there is a lot of people out there who are keeping quiet. You know that, and I know that. A lot of people aren't as open about it. I know with my daytime career, I'm very open about it with my bosses and my coworkers about what I've seen and what I do on this radio show. And they're accepting of that. And because I took the time to bring it out to the forefront right off the bat. You're someone who brings it out to the forefront. But there's a lot of people out there who are afraid to, because maybe they go to church, because they're afraid of what their coworkers will say, what their bosses will say, because maybe they're the only money winner in the family when it comes to taking care of the household. There's a lot at risk for a lot of people actually coming out and saying what they have experienced. We had Karina Sables on from Kelowna, British Columbia just last week, where she was talking about the horrific experiences that her mother's side has had, her and her brother have had, her children have had, and now her grandson has had. And, you know, she was saying that this cost her her home, her marriage, friends. It cost her 2 jobs because people thought she was off kilter, right? So there is the other side, Samantha, to be worried about being open about it.
I can agree completely with that, but that also comes down to when you're in that moment where you feel like you'd like to share this information with someone, you need to stop and feel your body. You have to feel your energy. Okay, does it feel like this is a safe person to share this with? Does this feel like this is a good situation for me to share my experiences? We all have those moments where we feel almost like that lighthearted energy where it feels okay to share that information versus that time in your life where you'll feel a tension, a heaviness, a feeling of I shouldn't move forward or I shouldn't say something. You need to really pay attention to those cues from your body, clues from your guides, because that'll tell you when these things are going to be in a better situation for you. In regards to the people who are concerned about what people at their church will say, well, read your Bible. If you go through the Bible, you will see that they make reference to that man was created in our image, not in my image. So really it comes down to understanding that information. Oh, thank you. I didn't have to do that. Sorry, I got corrected by something. And in regards to people wanting to share information with the people that they work with, well, that's where it comes down to taking that time to actually get to know people and share it accordingly. You don't necessarily go to the staff Christmas party and get drunk and then tell people, hey, look, I had an experience on a boat one time in the middle of a lake and I saw this giant craft. That might not be the best time to share it, but one-on-one might be a better way. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and I can understand that, but I still think it brings the fear to people, much like the word disclosure does, in case that ever happens, but we're going to try and stay away from the disclosure aspect tonight. When you have someone who wants to open up to you, and you being someone who is very open and in the public eye, and they want to come out and they want to say, I don't know what to do, I'm having these experiences, I need to talk to someone, I know I'm not crazy. How do you put them at ease?
Well, I tell them that if they like, they can always contact me when they're having experiences, or you could always go online and check out UFO sharing groups, or you can ask your guides to bring people into your life that are also contactees. There are a number of ways you can go about it. For me, I found that when I was first coming out of the ET closet, I contacted a couple people. I contacted Mary Rodwell because I felt like she was someone that I resonated with on an energetic level. I knew I could trust her and would resonate with her energy. And I just shared a couple experiences back and forth with her. And I also did with our friend Johnny Enoch, just for sharing, hey, this is what's happening, to get a better idea. And then that helped for me when it came to not only understanding my experiences, but it took some of that constant obsessing that we all go through when we're having these experiences. Like, you know, when you have a really prominent one and it's on your mind for days and you just want to share it with someone to not only share the experience with them, but to kind of work it through in your mind so that you come to have a better understanding about it. For me, that is what I do, and that is what I try to remember when I'm on the opposite side of the table from people. I'll read their experiences when they email them to me, and I'll try to ask them more questions, and I'll try to help get them further engaged in, hey, so how did you feel about that? What did you really take away from the situation? And then I'll share something of what I've had if it's similar at all. That's really all I can do, Dave.
And I can appreciate that because you've probably helped a lot of people come to grips with their newfound personal reality. Do you find when you were talking to people who get in contact with you about their experiences, how much or how many times they've actually had contact compared to what they remember?
I'm not sure. Can you rephrase that?
Well, for instance, it is said that most people who finally realize they have contact have actually been taken almost their entire lives usually, rather than just the one time, and they're just remembering this as a first-time experience.
I've found that's quite common with people, how when you actually start to talk to them and then you start explaining, hey, look, and then, like, for instance, I was talking to a woman from Texas a while ago, and she had mentioned how she had encountered this one variety of gray, and then I explained to her, hey, look, you can also sometimes feel them when their energy's walking around your house, or you may see invisible entities where it looks like a partially see-through being moving around. And I talked to her about just other ways in which you can experience extraterrestrial contact. And when I started to say that, she went quiet for a few minutes, and she's like, okay, I've actually had more of this than I thought I did. I've been having this my entire life. So when people start to actually put those little dots together, it can be life-changing when they come to this realization. And sometimes they need a couple days to process it, and then they just want to talk your ear off, which is totally fine too, because I know I did it.
Do you ever put a time limit on people who need that voice to talk? I know you're a busy lady. You have your own career. You're a family person, you know, and there's always not a lot of time to be able to have that, to step away for that hour, 2 hour, 3 hour phone call. Do you ever find that it gets too busy and too much at times, or do you just pedal through because that's your calling?
I typically pedal through and ask my guides to regulate. Bring me only people who do actually need me. If I'm actually the right person to help this person, allow them to come through, because the schedule will always shift itself around. Like for me, I juggle between messaging some people on my phone versus WhatsApping them, and other people I'm emailing, and some people I'm just Skyping. So really, it depends, and it may take me a week I may get a contact, like a message from you, and it may take me a week before I can actually get to you. But that's okay, because that gives you time to think, and when we do have that time where me and that other person can talk, then everything's more aligned for them, and things are actually able to play out as they're supposed to. So 3-hour conversations aren't that common, because I just don't have the time for it, but I can always fit a half hour here or maybe an hour there.
How often does it take, or how long does it take to actually calm someone's nerves?
That depends on the person. Most people I've found are actually calmed by me quite quickly, and normally end up, I know this may sound bad, but most people I talk to end up crying tears of release and feeling of, okay, things are okay, I have an understanding of this, I can handle this. When people are really anxious, it may take me like 2 hours, maybe 3 hours to get them to really calm down, but that's not very common. Most people don't seem that anxious.
We have about 4 minutes here before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour, and we are with Samantha Mowat tonight, our resident ET expert with the ET Experience. It happens the second Tuesday of every month. Samantha, there's a lot of people out there, and we're going to get into this heavily within the next half an hour after the break, who want to have an experience, except they don't know how. They aren't sure that it'll happen to them. It's almost to a point of, you know, I don't want to say stressing out, but it lingers in their mind. Do you approve, with all of your experiences, good and bad, that you've had, for people to go out and seek and search for extraterrestrial experiences?
I think if you have that longing within your soul, that you do need to honor it, because there is something you need to learn and experience through doing it. I highly recommend that if you are going to be trying to make contact with extraterrestrial or multidimensional beings, that you obviously avoid any substances such as drugs or alcohol, because they will lower your vibration, they will throw off your ability to react properly in circumstances, and a lot of benevolent or more kind-hearted extraterrestrial and multidimensional beings will not want to make contact with you when you're in that state, if they haven't already made contact with you before, versus the ones that are operating from not as much of a place of caring or consideration will be more inclined to take advantage of the situation if you are in an altered state of awareness.
What do you mean that they may not be inclined to make contact?
Okay, so let's say you just smoked a joint, or you just had a few beers and you're outside and you're with your friends and you have a bonfire thinking, yeah, we're having a great time, we're in a happy mood right now, let's try to contact some extraterrestrials, this sounds great. Well, if you're Pleiadian and you're up in your ship and you're looking down at these people going, you know, I'd love to make contact with them, but I don't want to talk to them when they're like this, because they may misinterpret our actions, or they may misinterpret what it is we're attempting to do. Humans are unpredictable as it is. As a race, we really are. And when we are in a normal state, The ability to read our mind and have a prediction as to where our thought process is going, which will determine where our actions are going, is more consistent, versus when you're stoned or you're drunk, you will jump from topic to topic and thought to thought and action to action. And most extraterrestrials are not going to want to deal with you when you're like that, because it's like talking to a topic that's all hopped up on candy. It's not pleasant.
So from the extraterrestrial side, they almost see like a type of lunacy that is happening.
A little bit. They don't understand why we feel the need to do drugs or to get drunk.
Okay, but what about those who say that in order to gain a higher conscious experience, they want to test out ayahuasca or some sort of magic mushroom?
Well, that's fine. But take into account this: if you're not in a very high vibrational place, you're opening yourself up to communication with beings that are able to change the way in which you're perceiving them. You can have beings such as reptilians or certain varieties of greys that are able to make it so you're viewing them in one appearance when really they are of another. So yes, you can do things like ayahuasca and shrooms, but you need to be very aware of who it is you're doing it with, because the people you do it with, their vibration is going to attract a certain group. And I'm not saying that the people are good, bad, or whatever, but pay attention to vibration. You also want to have someone there who is going to be sober, and someone who is more energetically aware, because they're going to be able to sense if beings are coming near you that don't have your best interest in mind. Yes, shrooms and ayahuasca can help flood the pineal gland with, I do believe it's DMT, which will give you a massive surge in clairvoyance and claircognizance and clairsentience. But if you're not accustomed to those chemicals being in your brain at that level, are you necessarily sure that you want to go forward in that way?
Excellent. Samantha, we're going to get you to hold on. We're going to take a break here at the bottom of the hour. Spaced Out Radio presents the ET Experience with Samantha Mowat. She joins us the second Tuesday of every month. How to make contact with Samantha Mowat coming up next. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back right after this.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
Hi there. This is your medium, Joanna, from Spaced Out Weekend, 2 Mediums and a Large. I would love it if you would come and join us with host James Tyson every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. Together, we will take your calls and your questions live. Our goal is to provide you with a positive outlook on deep questions that you may have. Questions regarding love, relationships, money, or whatever else is on your mind. Come and check us out at spacedoutradio.com.
Every Saturday and Sunday night, as Dave Scott wanders aimlessly in the wilderness, you can come hang out with me, James Tyson, in Spaced Out Weekend. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I'll take you along as we talk with some of the best experts in their fields. SpacedOutRadio.com is the place to find us. So sit down, relax, put your feet up. Enjoy the topics like the paranormal, supernatural, intuitiveness, and so much more. Hope to see you there.
Hey everybody, this is Patrick Webster Small, and I'm here to bring you the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night, live at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. If you're looking for aliens and extraterrestrials, well, we've got them. Big and tall, short and small. You're bound to find what you're looking for. So join me on the Webster Phenomena right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com. for mind, body, and spirit. And expect a miracle.
Have you ever wondered about those weird and strange creatures people have reported throughout history? Do you wonder if those stories are real? Me too, and that's why I started Cryptopia.us. Hey, this is Rob Morphy, crypto historian. Join me once a month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will get into the odd and bizarre reports, from the Dover demon to hairy hominids and everything in between. I will break down what people like you and me are seeing at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost?
Look no further than Spaced Out Radio.
SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click on to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on radio
or our website, including social media.
From commercial spots to banners, we have it all.
Check out our competitive pricing today.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with U4 Cop. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
Want to connect with us online? Find us on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show, on Twitter, @Spaced Out Radio, on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR, on YouTube, Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. All right, space travelers, here comes the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. And welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Tomorrow night, I know you'll be liking this. The crypto guru is back, Ronald Murphy. Yes, he will be talking all things crypto. I think we're getting into vampires tomorrow night with the crypto guru, Ronald Murphy, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. Hey, if you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Follow us on YouTube. Click the subscribe button and listen to our archives at Spaced Out Radio Show. And our new look website is spacedoutradio.com. You can check out our team and cast of characters, including Samantha Mowat, who is our guest tonight. You can check out our music man, the guitar god himself, Ron Bumblefoot THAL, who takes care of all of our sounds, along with the SOR Space Wire. And you can join the SOR Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month. How about this? You're automatically entered into monthly prize draws. You get a special section for your own postings on the website. You get to take part in private monthly group interviews with a special guest and a heck of a lot more. We wanted to do it, and we are going to. We're going to give you a hell of a lot more than just access to our archives. It's the second Tuesday of the month. That means it's the ET Experience with Samantha Mowat, her website, samanthamowat.ca. Samantha, welcome back.
Hi, Dave. Hi, everyone.
Samantha, as we were starting to warm up at the bottom of the hour here, right before the break, we were talking about people wanting to have that experience, whether they've had it again or whether they've never had a conscious experience or maybe none at all. Is it possible for someone, say, who has never had an experience to concentrate and open up to the point where they could meet with a benevolent being?
Yes, quite easily. The main thing when you're wanting to actually develop a relationship with extraterrestrials or multidimensionals is to work on your psychic abilities. I know that in itself can sound a little intimidating, but you're all already psychic anyways. You're just not aware of when you're actually utilizing your abilities. And the more you become aware of the energy around you, the more you'll start to have contact.
How does that work?
So how it works is in a couple different ways. You roughly have the basic psychic abilities, which are your clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, and clairgustance. So roughly, think your 5 senses: seeing, hearing, smelling, touching, tasting, the usual. And when you're encountering extraterrestrial beings, you can either have an encounter with them, which is a physical encounter, where they come into your bedroom, or take you up on craft, or you can have an astral encounter, or an energetic encounter. So an astral encounter occurs when your body Let's say when you're asleep tonight and you go to sleep, you lay down in bed to go to sleep, your soul will leave your body. This is called things such as lucid dreaming or just dreaming or astral travel. So a lot of my contact experiences happen when my soul leaves my body. And because I've practiced astral projection and lucid dreaming for years, I'm able to determine where it is my soul goes. You're able to do this as well. And quite frankly, one of the main things that happens to me is I'll go to sleep, I'll find myself standing above my bed, and I'll begin to want to go somewhere, and then I'll feel a tugging, almost like a pulling in my soul or my heart center to go to another location. And this is often where I found myself either on craft or suddenly in the woods or in front of a being or things of that nature. If you would like to make contact, you could go onto YouTube and watch the Countdown to Contact presentation that I did. But to summarize it very quickly, you want to project your energy up out of your body, and you want to project it out into space. When you do this, you're actually making a very quick beam of energy from your aura going outwards, and they're able to pinpoint, okay, which human it is that did this. And by doing that, you're roughly saying, I'm comfortable, I'm okay, I'm becoming more energetically aware and capable, and I wish to initiate contact. The beings that sent me the information to have people do this are a variety of, well, one of them's a variety of gray, but they're not your typical grays, because I mean there are hundreds of different varieties of grays. This one was done by Phoebe, and Phoebe's head is actually in two sections in the back. Think of, you know how when you touch the back of your head, how you've got that one main section? Well, think of it being divided into two rather than one. And when they asked for me to make people have this beam of light coming up, they wanted to take almost like a census to have an awareness of, okay, how many humans are doing this? And what areas are predominantly sending out the beams of light? That is kind of, it's like a marker or a beacon going off, and that's part of how they're able to find you and start initiating contact with you. When you do things like this, it changes your vibration. The first time you consciously project your energy outside of the Earth's bubble or grid, it actually makes it so that you're able to pull energy through the grid, through the system, and connect more directly to source. Does that make any sense? I'm not sure if I'm explaining this well.
I think you're explaining it great, but I would love for you to define what source is, because a lot of people may get confused about that.
Oh, of course. Source is a couple different things. It is oneness. It is a consciousness that's around everything. Some people refer to it as the God consciousness, that connection to everything. It is literally all around us, but it's also outside of us as well. And because Earth does have a bit of a funny vibration for the last several thousand years, to go and connect to a more harmonious vibration, a more true vibration, you do have to go outside of our planet and go out into space. So that is more what source is and what I mean when I say energy.
A lot of people, though, may get a little freaked out by that, to be honest, because, I mean, the thought of not only leaving your body, but leaving your body to go travel in space with aliens you don't even know, I can see where people would have a tough time with this.
Of course, but I'd like for the people to take this into account. You have left your body every night or every afternoon when you dream since the day you were born. It's nothing that is new. We've all had moments in our dreaming state where we could fly, or we could suddenly push someone with our mind, or we could shoot fireballs from our hands, or we could suddenly change our outfit or manifest something rapidly. That is your astral experience. You've been having things like this since you were small. If you remove the fear that you are associating around it and just take the experience for what it is, you will find that your ability to manipulate the situation and to draw the beings that you wish to have contact with to you will change and will become easier.
Is it that simple, though? Because you make it sound like it's a snap of a finger.
Well, it is that simple. We like to complicate everything.
Well, I mean, that's a basic answer. Okay, but I can tell you point blank that I have been trying for over a year now to have a conscious sighting of an extraterrestrial, much like you and I had in April of 2014. And much like I had in April of 2015 during this show, and nothing seems to work. It's almost like they put up a block with me.
They wouldn't just suddenly block you out, Dave. There's a couple different things you can do because you're feeling blocked. I would recommend for you doing either learning how to astral project so that you're able to have astral encounters with them, which are just as, they really are just as lifelike as the encounters you and I have had in person. But the thing that's better with astral encounters is you're able to retain more information. Both parties feel more comfortable. And if you feel as though you can't handle it, you can teleport yourself out of there in no time. And the other way in which you can also bring in more encounters is to develop your psychic abilities. These beings operate on such a strong psychic level that communicating with us can be a little bit difficult. So for them, when they're used to having telepathy, you can either develop your telepathic abilities. There are books on this and YouTube videos, and you can practice either with friends, family, or with your cat if you really want to. Or you can learn how to feel energy, because energy will send what it is you're thinking and feeling and what your intentions are. And then you can read their energy and they can read your energy. Things of that nature.
How long does this take, though, this process? Because I can tell you right now, I don't have much time in the day. A lot of people are like me, Samantha, where, you know, their day is so booked that they don't even have time to eat dinner, let alone to get a good night's sleep. And Lord knows I could use one of those after pushing about 16, 17 hours a day on a weekly basis. How do you find time to do this?
Well, if you want, you could start doing your psychic abilities when you're in the shower. Realign your vibration, so when you feel like your energy is going out of whack and you're feeling out of control and let's say you're showering either in the morning or at night, you can start thinking, okay, one sec, guys, what am I trying to say? So put your energy protection up, put the white light around you, put your bubble around you, and then you can start thinking, okay, I want to make contact with Arcturians. And then you start feeling your vibration, and you can just send that beam of energy up and out into them. And as you make that energetic affirmation of, I'm ready to contact you, I'd like to contact with you, I would like for you to come talk to me, then they are better able to be like, okay, this person would like to have contact, let's go check them out, let's go see what they're doing today, let's see if this is someone I want to make contact with. So I know that may sound like it's too easy, but the reason why you're doing that with your vibration is you're setting, it's not a matter of saying the intention, but when you think about someone, your energetic field connects in with theirs. And when your energetic field is connected in, you begin to share a telepathic link, a telepathic bond. And if you're doing that with an entire race of extraterrestrials, the right one, or one that's comfortable with working with you, will be able to start monitoring you and getting in contact with you. I know that sounds very easy, but it is.
Do you think then, because you mentioned it earlier, that people take the simplification of this and complicate the living heck out of it because they may not get instant results, which is what we've been trained for now?
Yeah. Well, that would be one way. I had a gentleman from Louisiana contact me a couple weeks ago, and he was, I believe, going to Texas, and he wanted to make contact. So I told him, okay, well, you're going in a couple days, so tell them where it is you want to go. Plan somewhere in the woods. We are going to go by yourself and what time of day you're going to be there, and show them, using your mind, what the location is, and then project your energy up, show them where the heck it is you're going to be, and do this every day for like 3 or 4 days. Be like, I'm going to be here, and I'm going to be here at this time, and I'd love to see you. And so a few days pass, and he contacts me, and he says that, hey, look, I think I saw lights, and they were twinkling back at me, and they look like they moved, and I think that was on. Like, great. So the next day, again, let them know, hey, look, I was happy to see you. You're very excited. That is how you start to have them making more of the craft coming into your awareness, coming near you. They aren't necessarily going to want to do a full-on face-to-face encounter if they sense that you're going to be freaked out by it. Although you may consciously think that I would really love to see this right now. If you're going to panic and they know you're going to panic, they're not going to want to do that with you.
I know that feeling. All too well. I know that feeling. Because I'm sitting here saying I would love to have more contact. And I have said many a night, and I've said it in many a prayers, that I don't want to be taken at night anymore. After the conscious experiences that I have had personally during this show and with you,
Yes.
I want to see it face to face again. And I'll be honest with you, if I ever get that opportunity again, or maybe when I get that opportunity again, I will go up to them next time. I will, put myself out there and, man up, grow some chest hair, and say, it's time for me to do this for myself. And I think that's important, that we all take the time to do that.
Well, seeing as it's summer, Dave, we're supposed to be taking our families and going camping at the end of next month. Let's try to make it so it happens then. And I recommend that for all the listeners as well. If you would like to make contact, go on a 3-day camping trip. Go in the woods. Don't go to a campground. Go with someone who's equally as excited to make contact as you are. And go out for 3 days. And every night show them where you're going to be and meditate in the daytime. I know that may sound a little bit odd, but the reason why you want to meditate is you're able to perceive more energy. You're able to perceive them on their different dimensional nature as well when you are in more of a relaxed state. And you don't have to have binaural beats going in the background. You don't have to be chanting and shaking a drum or anything like that. Or shaking a drum. My guys are laughing at me. Pounding on a drum or shaking a rattle. Thank you. Things like that will just help put you in a meditative state if you're comfortable with that. But whatever works for meditation for you, even if it's just laying on your back and looking at the clouds and playing your favorite music, that's meditating too. But if you want to make contact, meditate and try to talk to them.
Is it as simple as prayer?
I find praying helps. I pray every day.
Well, I pray too. I'm not going to, BS people there. I literally every night before I crawl into bed, I have a nice little prayer. I've done it since my mother taught it to me. 2-3 years old, I still use the same prayer that my mother taught me. It's ingrained, and still no experiences. So what would shut that off?
Well, there's a couple different things. If it depends on if it's on your end or if it's on their end or if it's someone interfering. Now, let's get to the first step. Let's say it's on your end. If Dave, because you had said you're not getting a lot of sleep at night, so you could be having trouble astral projecting. You could be making it so that when they do come to see you, you're not remembering it. Because they don't just typically up and abandon people. They really don't. If it's on their end, they may have done what they need to do with you at this time, and I hate to say it, but you may not be a priority. You may be doing exactly what you need to do, so they don't need to come see you and realign you onto whatever agenda it is they have. And I don't mean that to sound malevolent, but let's face it, everything has an agenda, be it human, Arcturian, Pleiadian, Reptilian. We all have agendas. Now, if it's interference-based, and the reason why you're not seeing them is because you've got a third entity or third-party entity that's preventing the two from meeting up. It may be that if you're of a priority to these beings, like let's say you're having contact with Andromedans, and the Andromedans are really trying to help not only awaken you, but get you started on what it is you've agreed to do in this incarnation, and you've got another group who's like, no, we can't let this person do that. That's going to throw off our trajectory. This is going to really ruin our plans if this person actually gets on that path. They will sabotage you. Those are a couple of reasons why it may not be working out.
Let's get to a question from Claudia here in the SOR Space Travelers. And she is asking, and I'm so glad Claudia is back. She's been on hiatus helping with a family member. The ETs that are not of a higher consciousness, that may hurt you. Will they still hurt you if you are of a higher consciousness?
If they can get their hands on you sometimes, yes. I'm sorry, but yes.
Follow up to that. Do we attract the type of ETs to us? So, for instance, if you're a higher consciousness, are you going to attract a higher conscious being? And if you're of a lower level, will you get the lower level beings?
That's a bit of a trick one, Claudia, and the reason being is sometimes you can raise your vibration a ridiculous amount and you'll get attention from both sides, those that are of a higher vibration and those that are of a lower vibration. For instance, typically I try to keep my vibration as high as possible. I normally, I will avoid things like cheese as much as I love it, unless I'm having like a weekday or something, or I'll try to avoid coffee, or I'll try to avoid stuff like that, things that are proven to lower your vibration. But even if you're on like a raw diet where you're having like you're vegan and you're doing all these things to keep your vibration as high as possible, if you're doing a lot of things that are intentionally raising the energetic level of either yourself or those around you, or on a planetary level, you may draw the attention of beings that are not as kind, because they will not be thrilled with what it is you are doing. So yes, your vibration's high, and yes, beings of a high vibration are more attracted to you, but sometimes you will have those lower vibrational entities annoyed at you and wanting to sabotage you.
How does meditation help in this?
Meditation helps in a couple of ways, because when you meditate, you actually connect into your metaphysical abilities on a stronger level. Meditation does a couple of things. Most of us have a continual background of mind chatter, which that mind chatter changes the way our energy is being projected out of us. So Dave, let's say the background mind chatter is, I don't have these experiences and the ETs leave me alone, I don't know why this is happening, I'm stressed out and I want to come back, and why aren't they coming back? Then because your energy is projecting that, it is drawing that to you. Whatever you think about you, like if you say, I'm a contactee and I have more contact with anyone and this is all working out and every year I have more and more groups coming to contact me, then that is what's going to happen. And I don't mean that in a law of attraction way. I mean it in a way of what you believe you are and what you believe you have, you do have. When people hear the law of attraction, they do think of it in a really finicky way, and that's not how I've been taught to understand it. That's not how the beings that I work with have explained it to me. But they have told me, because I do go through spells where I won't see anyone for 3 weeks. And when I have that happen, hey guys, what the heck, what's going on? They're like, well, you said you wanted a break, so we gave you a break, and then you start to stress out because you're getting a break. And then we had to stay away because you weren't in that right place to see us. I'm like, okay, so what can I do to change this? And they've said, well, you have to go back to, I'm comfortable seeing us, I'm happy to see us, I'm really grateful I'm seeing you, things of that nature. You do shape your own reality.
I have a question from our resident UK insomniac, Richard, who's in the Space Out Radio chat room on Spreaker for the first time. Thank you once again for staying up late, Richard, to be with us. His question is, if you are interacting with several types of extraterrestrials at one time, wouldn't that create the environment for conflict of interests?
Yes. As I said earlier, Richard, they've all got their own agendas, and some even have sub-agendas within that. So for me, in the last year, the beings that I've predominantly been in contact with is I've had TAMs, and they've got a different agenda than the reptilians that are coming to see me. I've had black reptilians come to see me. I've had yellow reptilians come to see me. I've had some that are green, and they've all got their own different perceptions of what it is they're hoping to do, what it is they're wanting to get done. Even some of the Pleiadians that I've had encounters with, it's not like you're in a room and you've got Pleiadians and 4 types of reptilians and 4 types of greys and mantis all in the same area. These beings are all aware of, okay, well, they're coming to see them, or these beings are coming to see you, and those ones, and they want to have a better idea of, okay, well, why are these ones so interested in this person? What are they trying to accomplish? Well, we want this person to do this, not that. And it is a conflict of interest, and trying to really discern who wants what and what it is aligned with your soul and your objectives, and that kind of thing does get confusing. And I find that it doesn't matter where your vibration's at sometimes. If you have too many beings come to see you, they can also throw off your energetic resonance.
So do you get to pick and choose who comes to your own energetic signal, or do they choose for you?
I find they choose for you more than anything. That's been my experience in the last year, at least.
Did you once think different?
I completely did. Up until Countdown to Contact, I did not have anything like reptilians coming to see me. And since then, I've had 6 different types.
Now, a lot of people will say, Samantha,
Yes.
you've seen how many types of extraterrestrials? What is this girl on? What is she smoking? What type of imagination does this have? Nobody has seen that many types of ETs.
Well, I like to say this. There's a first for everything, and there are so many people in this world who have seen a ridiculous amount of extraterrestrials, and like the majority of you, they're being quiet because they're afraid of being seen as crazy. Well, I work as a clairvoyant psychic. According to 50% of the population, I'm probably perceived as crazy already. I'm not smoking anything. In fact, smoking weed makes me cough a lot, and that is not pleasant, so I don't bother with that. I don't do drugs because they don't react well within my body and tend to make it so I have an anxiety attack. But the reason why I'm seeing this many extraterrestrials is I'm open to it, I'm comfortable with it, and I've gone through a rapid development of my psychic abilities, and I'm continually focusing on becoming more and more psychic. That is why with each year I have more and more encounters. The beings that are of the typically lower, let's say, density, lower vibration, even though their vibration is operating at a faster pace than ours, they were the ones I initially started seeing. And as time has progressed, like right after my Reiki attunement, the reason why I was able to see a being that was of crystalline energy, of angelic resonance, was when you have that massive amount of energetic clearing and healing, you align to closer to what your true energetic essence is. So depending upon what is happening in your aura, that will determine, in a sense, who is coming to see you. But I'm also out in the woods more than most people. I'm also willing to have these beings come see me. When I have various ETs come see me, if I feel safe with them, I will hug them and I'll say, "Hi, it's nice to see you." Or when I've encountered like my first reptilian, I said, "It's all right, you're allowed to be here." And I wasn't mad at him, I didn't hate him, I didn't send anything of that nature. It really depends on how you react, because you got to remember, to them, most humans are operating a state where they're almost like robots, they're asleep. So when they're encountering humans that are a little more awake and are receptive to seeing them and aren't panicking when they see them, they get just as excited sometimes for contact as we do. They're like, "Oh, yay, good, good. Now you can go help those of your kind. You can help do that to them." And sometimes it's like, I don't know if I can help people with this entirely, but I'm certainly trying my best, because I've got two parties trying to push to see each other, but it does make it a little difficult. I don't know if that made sense.
Totally
Richard, does that make sense?
He'll fill us in. Samantha, I'm going to get you to hold on here. We are through 1 hour already. Wow, that was a quick hour on Spaced Out Radio tonight. Samantha Mowat is our guest. She is part of the SOR ET Experience. She comes on the second Tuesday of every month to do the ET Experience show with us here. Her website, samanthamowat.ca, if you want to check it out, maybe get a reading as well. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back right after this.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where two members of our team will be available to answer your questions. We'll give you some equipment updates and some of our experiences on the road, right here on Spaced Out Radio on the Spreaker.com network.
Do you believe you've been in contact with extraterrestrials? Have you seen the Greys, the Mantids, or the Reptilians? I am Samantha Mowat, and on the second Tuesday of each month, you can listen and learn from my experiences with off-worlders on Spaced Out Radio's The ET Experience. With host Dave Scott, we'll sit down and chat about what's going on with our friends from other worlds. We'll also try to answer your questions, so please tune in on the second Tuesday of the month, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, From radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
Right here, this is where we divulge the fruit of our research. Here on the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern on Spaced Out Radio. And we give it up to you guys, all the listeners and the live listeners. You can get something special and hang out in the chat room. And we love to have you. So we'll see you every Saturday night at 8 p.m. You know where.
If you're a fan of social media, you can follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can also follow us on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel, where our archives are stored, is Spaced Out Radio Show. And of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. Welcome back for hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Good to have you all with us, especially those taking part in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, along with our fans in the SOR Space Travelers on Facebook. Always good to have you along for the ride. Tomorrow night, one of our most popular guests is back, the crypto guru, author Ronald Murphy. We will be talking, I believe, vampires tomorrow night. As last time we talked some paranormal, this time we're getting into vampires and all the ghoulish desires for you paranormal enthusiasts. That's tomorrow night starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our page a like on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for our archives, Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. If you go to our new look website, you can check out the SOR Spacewire with Eric Markham, our news director. You can also check out our host blogs, including yours truly. You can check out our affiliates page to see who we're associated with, along with joining for just $5 a month the SOR Space Travelers group. In there, you automatically qualify for monthly prizes, because we're going to do a prize draw once a month. You have a special section to post on our website. You can also take part in private group interviews with special guests, a monthly newsletter, and so much more. That's the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. Tonight we are having the ET experience with our resident ET expert, Samantha Mowat. She comes on the second Tuesday of every month. Samantha, welcome back.
Hi, Dave. Hi, everyone.
I do want to mention your website, samanthamowat.ca, if you want to get in touch with Samantha. We have a bunch of questions starting to come through the chat room now. We'll start off with Colleen. And this is in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. The ETs we may see, are they related to our soul group? I have heard that many humans also have a mixture of ET DNA in light of that info. Do you think that might also have something to do with whom they may choose to visit?
Colleen, I think you're completely right on the money. I really do. I do believe that soul groups determine immensely as to what degree you get contact with certain beings. I do feel as though that's part of the reason why I do have a lot of contact with Palladians, and why I also have Danny's group coming in a fair bit.
So, in what regard do you think there's a mixture of ET DNA? How far back does that go?
I think it goes right back as far as humans have been on this planet. And I'd like to say humans on this planet because I don't think humanity originally came from here, but I do think we were altered when we got here.
I'm going to go to a question from Claudia in the SOR Space Travelers Club for you.
Mm-hmm.
Since we have no ability to have control over the visitations, do you, Samantha, still welcome visits?
I do, for the most part, as long as their vibration feels as though they are going to be benevolent towards me, or at least have consideration and kindness, then I do welcome the encounters I have. However, some beings don't necessarily have their energy is not nice, is a nice way to put it. They feel either dangerous, and if they feel that way, then I do try to get rid of them from my area.
How often are you having contact?
Typically about 5 or 6 times a month.
So it's quite frequent.
Yeah, I would say by comparison it's probably considered frequent. But to me, it tends to go in clumps. So I'll have a lot of contact in 1 week, and then I may not have anything the next week, and I may have one in the week after that, and then it tends to go in almost like it's groups. It depends also on who's coming to see me.
Do you have rules for your contact? Let's say, for instance, you're having a shower, or you're having, or you're getting dressed in your bedroom. You know,
or you're having sex, just anything like that. It's like, no, I don't want contact at that time.
So how do you make those rules if you really have no choice if they're going to visit you?
Well, there's a couple things you can do. You can put up energetic boundaries around your house. So around my house, I do have the white light pillars around each corner of my home and around my property, and then I've got a giant Merkaba around our house that's rotating 2 directions, and I do have some clauses, such as only beings that come in peace, love, and light may enter, and if their vibration is not compatible, and if they don't have soul ties to myself or those in the house, and they are not welcome unless they go through me, which can be a bit of a challenging thing. If we, let's say I go to the island, which is what I'm planning to do in a couple days, and if I get there and I forget to put up energetic protection, and let's say that all I've got is my basic soul agreement, one's out there, where I only want to have contact with beings that are going to be helping me raise the people of the earth, and everyone else should stay away. Well, for the most part, that will keep only beings of that nature coming to see me. Although some beings will have a slight clause in there where, yes, they do want the planet Earth to raise, but they also have their own agenda in there as well. So really, like lawyers, they can also find their own little niche of how it applies to them on one level or another. No offense to anyone who's a lawyer. So, I'm not sure if that makes any sense.
Let's get to another question. This is from Joe in the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook. Mm-hmm. If the peaceful ETs come to visit you and you fight them, will they stop coming to visit you, and will the mean ETs then show up to visit?
In my experience, no. That's that I've never had any altercations with benevolent ETs, but let's say, for instance, you wake up, Joe, and it's the middle of the night, and you're panicky because you've got a being standing right beside your bed, and you throw something at them, like a book. Then they may leave you alone, and they may just observe you from, let's say, a distance, either being an invisible outline operating in a vibration that you can't perceive, or they may view you from craft, or they may just keep their distance that way and only interact with you on an astral level. But when it comes to the negative extraterrestrials, it doesn't matter to some of them whether you're having contact with benevolent extraterrestrials and multidimensionals or not. If they want to see you, they will come see you.
Another question from Watchdog in the Space Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. Samantha, once you make contact with these beings, what is the topic of discussion? Are they conversing their daily activities or your future well-being?
Sometimes in regards to my future well-being, but it's a bit challenging to watchdog because sometimes, depending upon the beings, it can be a real pain. They can also try to push what they want on you. They don't typically tell me what they're doing in a day. I also don't think to be polite enough to ask. In my last encounter that I had, I did see a reptilian, which is fine. I saw him and I thought, oh, you're very beautiful, because he had these amazing black scales, and he truly was a beautiful being to look at, and you can't help but admire the beauty within anything when you see it. And when I saw him, it was a little bit different because he said, I'd like for you to come with me. So I did come with him, and he did take me somewhere else, and he had his own agenda, and he wanted to talk to me about a few things, but it wasn't necessarily areas that I was comfortable with, but it didn't feel... I know I'm choosing my words very carefully, and I know someone's thinking that one right now. And it didn't feel like it was being invasive. They do show you consideration if they do have any degree of respect for you. But it always comes back to, what do they want you to know? And I know that may sound a little bit odd, but when it comes to these beings, they only reveal what they feel we can handle and what they feel is in our best interest and what they feel is in their best interest as well. So...
let's continue on with the questions. This one coming from Gail in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Samantha, do you and the extraterrestrials make appointments, or is it all surprises? How do you get anything else done?
Well, Gail, depending upon the group, like, I've got a couple different symbols that I like to be shown if I'm going to be having contact. For me, I have a blue butterfly, or I'll end up seeing a yellow Volkswagen Beetle if one certain group is going to come see me. I ask that they make it so I've got a small yellow Volkswagen seen in the last half of that day, so I remember about it. How I get things done is, this has become a normal part of my life. I could be making dinner and you could see an invisible entity walking around and you just look and say, well, I see you. Or you'll see an energetic mass and you could feel, okay, well, it feels like it's multidimensional, or it feels like it's extraterrestrial. You can converse with it saying, now's not good, I will see you later, or I will see you when I go into the woods, or you can make appointments where it's like, I will only see you when I'm astral projecting, or don't connect with my family doesn't want to talk to you, come just talk to me, or leave my house guest alone. Things of that nature. I had one of my girlfriends, I went to Grand Prairie to get her to move her out of a bad situation and take her back to Vancouver, and on our way down we stopped in my town where I live in northern BC. And it was, I think, 3:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock, and she looked at her window and she saw two beautiful black eyes staring at her from about 5 feet away. And she's like, normally I'd be freaked out if I saw that, but she's like, I just knew it was the beings that you work with, and I knew that we're being protected and it was okay. So yeah, you can have stuff like that happening a bit, like quite a fair bit, but you don't really, it becomes second nature. You don't think too much about it. Like, even if I'm driving down the highway and I see a craft, it's like, okay, I saw a craft. Well, I'm still on my way to Costco to go get groceries. It's not going to stop and try to take a picture. Does that make sense?
Sure. Let's move on to the next question. Gail's second question is, are there any weapons or defense mechanisms that will deter extraterrestrials from visits?
Well, our governments have quite a few of them. They do have electromagnetic propulsion devices that'll get rid of their craft by knocking them down, which can be a deterrent. But the best way to actually remove extraterrestrial presence, if you're very certain that you want to have none, is raising your vibration to a level that makes them uncomfortable. So let's say they're operating at a really high vibration, then you'd want to lower your vibration if you're not comfortable with them. Or if you're operating at a low vibration and you've got something coming at you that's even lower, you can raise your vibration. It is a frequency war in a sense. And I don't mean it like in a war way, but everything is frequency, everything is energy. And if you really want to keep them away from you, changing your vibrational frequency to being not compatible with the being that is trying to interact with you is the best way to do it. So when I mentioned white light and gold light, well, white light has a very high vibration, Gold light also has a very high vibration. That's why you tend to see gold light depicted around the heads of all the saints around the world, and those that are more of like ascended masters, things of that nature. They are operating at such a frequency that things that are not as highly vibrating will not be comfortable in their presence and will feel the need to leave, because it will either make them sick or it will make them that uncomfortable.
Let's get to Eugene's question in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. Sam, have you ever experienced missing time or lapses in consciousness during your encounters with these interdimensional beings?
Yes, I have, Eugene, and missing time throws me off. But what throws me off even more than missing time is when you walk into a room and you'll be in there and you'll be like, I have no idea why I'm here. And then you'll walk out and you'll be like, okay, well, there's 5 minutes gone. But, you know, you initially went into that room to go get something. Things like that are more frustrating than anything. I find that if it's a short period of time and my body feels all right and if my energy doesn't feel like it's changed much, then I don't really think twice about what happened in that 5-minute period. So,
what's it like to have missing time? What does that feel like?
Well, like the example I gave a moment ago, where let's say you're walking into your garage, and when you walk into your garage, you're initially thinking, I need to go down here to get my screwdriver. And then you walk in there, and then you turn around, and you're like, and you feel like something's off. You feel like, okay, like the one thing you may notice is you may notice that it's a little bit darker if it's been like a half hour or more, or you may notice that the noise that was there a minute ago, let's say a neighbor driving down the street, is no longer there, or you may notice something like, okay, well, my feet are cold, or something along those natures, something that is physically different than what it should be. And you'll have this instant sense in your body of, this is different, I'm forgetting something, or something's not right. And when that happens, you need to really stop and go, okay, what happened? And you may not remember right away, but let's say you're like me and you may just have a sensation of, okay, I think something's off, I can't figure out what's off. Go look at a clock and be like, okay, what time is it? Well, it's 10:17. Okay, well, I went down there at 9:45. Clearly, if I've been down there for a half hour, then something happened. Or if I've been down there for more than the 2 minutes I was supposed to be, something's not right. And if you focus on kind of like pulling those little threads of memory, you will start to have more of, okay, well, I think I saw, let's say, a tan. Okay, well, I think it talked to me about something. Or, okay, well, what do I remember more? It's kind of like you're pulling the memory back into your mind. I know that may seem like a little difficult to understand, but it's taking what's in your subconscious mind and bringing it into more of your conscious mind and removing that block, that barrier that is often there with missing time.
Joe wants to know in the SOR Space Travelers Club, why does it seem that Canadian people get all the nice extraterrestrials?
I've got a couple theories more than anything on that, Joe. To be very honest, I do speculate it has something to do with the agreements that your government has made with certain extraterrestrial groups. But you have to remember, depending upon your location on Earth, and depending upon the people that are around you, everyone's emitting an energy, everyone's emitting a vibration. So, like, let's say, for instance, you're in, Dave, name a place in the States that's going through stress right now.
Dallas, Texas.
Perfect, Dallas, Texas. Your vibration is going to be very different from someone who's in Vancouver, because Dallas has stress, so the people around you are stressed. The physical energy in that area is going to be more chaotic and heavier and denser. So it's going to be harder for you to raise your vibration and to connect with more benevolent extraterrestrials if all the energy around you is vibrating at that slower rate. So they're going to be like, oh, wow, Joe, I'm having a hard time connecting to Joe right now because he's in Texas. And it's hard for me to talk to him or have him notice, and it's hard for him to really astral project outside of that dimensional area. Versus, let's say, Joe, you're in Vancouver, and it's summer up here, and people are typically happier, and they're outside, and you're a little bit lighter. You wouldn't have the same degree of stress or energetic residue, like holding on to your soul or holding on to your body. So when you're astral projecting, you'd have more of a free reign, so they'd have an easier time contacting you at that time. But when you're in an area of like Dallas, Texas, which is so stressed, you'll also have more of those, more of a prevalent amount of beings that are there that are eating off of that energy residue. So let's say in Vancouver, for every 100 people, let's say there's, just for an example, 5 beings that eat negative energy and feed off of that vibration. But if you're in Dallas, Texas, which is a point where the energy is really dense and congested at this time, and for those 100 people, you may have 30 or 40 of those beings that are feeding off that energetic residue, which would increase the odds of you having an encounter with the malevolent extraterrestrials rather than the benevolent ones.
Continuing on with the questions here in Spaced Out Radio's SOR Space Travelers Club.
Mm-hmm.
And this question comes from William, who is apparently working at this hour, but instead of paying attention to work, he's listening in to us, so I hope he's not getting in any trouble. Thank you, William, for tuning in.
Hi, William.
Samantha, do you believe in the zoo theory, where we are all in a zoo and they are the keepers?
I've actually never heard that theory before, so that's an interesting one. I don't necessarily think we are in a zoo per se, but I do believe they are the keepers at this time. They do have control over us. I think that's a fairly undeniable fact at this time. But I don't feel as though we have a massive amount of extraterrestrials and multidimensionals purely just observing us. I view us as more of a farm rather than a zoo, if that was the case.
Wouldn't you say it's more reality TV?
Oh, God, it's got to be a good one. You've got to admit.
All I know is that Earth, the Final Frontier, must have won major Universal awards for the amount of reality TV coverage that we do.
Can you imagine the amount of extraterrestrial and multidimensionals just face palming all the time, going, "Oh my God, human, don't do that, don't do that. Oh, the human did that. Oh no." It's got to be really entertaining if it is a TV show. But they do have televisions of a sort on craft that come up out of the floors, typically energetically, where they are able to view what it is we're doing, what it is we're thinking, how our health is, and things of that nature. So when you think about it like that, it sometimes does feel like you're a bit of a goldfish in a fishbowl. So I can see the zoo theory, yeah.
I see more the reality TV show. I do. Because I know if I'm up there looking down on Earth, the bets that you could make on Jupiter's casino, if they have a Las Vegas Strip on Jupiter or Mars or wherever, the bets and the money that you could make on that would be phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yes, it would, and I'd really hate to see what they're betting.
Oh, I know. Kind of makes you wonder why they don't have currency, because they could make a lot of money off of us.
Well, the benevolent ones don't have currency, but the ones that aren't as kind do have a form of currency, either in DNA, bodies, souls, or things of that nature. But I don't want to stick on heavy stuff, so let's just skip that part.
Yeah, okay. Let's move on to another question. This one comes from the lovely Claudia in the SOR Space Travelers. What is the benefit of having contact? What have they shared with you, Samantha, that you feel is important to know and share to your public?
Well, Claudia, one of the nicest things they've done for me is they do typically keep my body quite healthy. So my body has gone too acidic twice now, if not 3 times, and each time they've helped to rebalance the acidity in my body to going from becoming cancerous towards being alkaline again, which I am very, very grateful for. They've also helped to raise my vibrations so that I'm not eating things that are polluting my body and making my body not just heavier in vibration, but clouded. So where most people will just walk in a room and have a very faint idea about, okay, this person feels sad, or I think that person might be angry. What these beings have done to me is they've helped to change the way in which my DNA is activating, and they've helped me to be able to predict more of what's going to be happening in my future, and they've shown me trajectories of, okay, well, if you choose this one, this is what's going to happen. If you choose that one, that's what's going to happen. So they do give benefits of things of that nature, which is awesome, but they can also Let's put it too nicely. They can also show you things that they think are being a courtesy or kindness, which can be a little bit painful, like being like, okay, well, this person's going to be dying in your family, and you've got about this song with them, or hey, you've got about this song with this person. Things of that nature, which can seem a little bit, depending upon how you view death, it can change the way in which you react into a situation. But they really can be meddlesome, but some of the benefits of what they do for you is they do help to make you more psychic. They do help you to have a remembrance of who you are. The ETs that I work with have shown me how to play with energy, how to manipulate energy, how to make my plants happy, how to help me predict what's going to be happening in my own life. Things like that, I believe, are just such a beautiful thing to have. And it's nice to know you're taken care of and to have these past life memories brought forward. So what they've done for me is they've helped me to unlock over 12 of my past lives and remember, okay, well, where I've been a male, where I've been a female, how I've died, what I did, helping to bring forward that information, things that should have been locked and not really remembered. They've allowed for me to remember and utilize those skills in this life. I'm very grateful for my contact.
It's always good when it is done the proper way. That's what I will say. Because there is a big difference, and I'm going to end this, and we're going to go to commercial here, and I think we should touch on it in the next half hour. There is a big difference between good contact and bad contact, as well as we should all remember that if we're striving for contact, we always have to be careful what we wish for, because it can be dangerous, and it can be full of hellish nightmares, can it not? So let's talk about that. I'll get your answer on that right after the break. Samantha Mowat is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. The ET Experience with Samantha Mowat comes the second Tuesday of every month. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be right back after this.
Have you ever had an extraterrestrial experience? One you just couldn't explain? Well, maybe I can help. Hello, I am Samantha Mowat. On the second Tuesday of each month, I will join Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio to bring a human aspect to ET contact. It's something I've lived with my entire life, and I'd love to help you understand. Let's share our experiences. The ET Experience, the second Tuesday of each month, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Fairies? Bigfoot? Dogmen? Trolls? Goblins? Hey, if it's cryptid in any way, I'm looking into it. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, also known as Spaced Out Radio's Crypto Guru. Join me every second Wednesday of the month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will talk about the stories people call tall tales. I will fill you in on the latest sightings and the hidden histories that are causing quite a stir. You can find everything at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is Jolene with Rivulet Reiki and Readings, and I want you to relax. Let me help you chill out and get in touch with your body, mind, and soul. In this busy world, sometimes we need to let go, and this is where I can help. Visit my website, rivuletrndr.wix.com/rivuletrndr, or my Facebook page, Rivulet R&R, to set up an appointment for relaxation, Reiki, or readings, no matter where you are. It's time for you to make time for you.
Would you like to expand your clientele? Have you ever thought of online radio advertising? Check out spacedoutradio.com to get your name out there. Our listeners support those who advertise with us, so why not give it a try? We have the most competitive advertising prices out there. Just click on the advertising tab on spacedoutradio.com and contact us today.
Are you an ET experiencer, but you just don't know what's going on? Are you too timid or shy to discuss it with anyone? Maybe I can help. Join me, R. Keith Andrews, the first Friday of every month on Spaced Out Radio, and I will help you to find the answers you're looking for. Together, I will help you understand the off-worlders and the true meanings behind your experiences. All you have to do is join us in the Spaced Out Radio chat room. See you there.
Every Saturday and Sunday night, as Dave Scott wanders aimlessly in the wilderness, you can come hang out with me, James Tyson, in Spaced Out Weekend. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I'll take you along as we talk with some of the best experts in their fields. SpacedOutRadio.com is the place to find us. So sit down, relax, put your feet up. Enjoy the topics like the paranormal, supernatural, intuitiveness, and so much more. Hope to see you there.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on two mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. Two mediums and a large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
Do you have a topic or a guest that you'd like to hear on Spaced Out Radio? Let us know at spacedoutradio.com, where you can sign up to become a Space Traveler member today. Or you can find us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on our Facebook page, Spaced Out Radio Show.
I don't want to take a thing from you. I just want to feel like something real with you. I just want to fly.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Good to have you with us, especially those taking part in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, along with our fans of the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook. Good to have you all with us tonight. Hey, I want to remind you, tomorrow night on the show, the Crypto Guru is back. Ronald Murphy will be talking vampires and other ghoulish goblins and ghosts as the Crypto Guru steps into Spaced Out Radio for his monthly appearance tomorrow night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. Want to say welcome to all our new listeners out there. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel, subscribe to it for our archives, is Spaced Out Radio Show. And our website, go to it, check it out, and sign up for the SOR Space Travelers, is spacedoutradio.com. We have some great blogs written. We have the SOR Spacewire by our news director, Eric Markham. We have our affiliates page. You can see who we're hanging out with. And the SOR Space Travelers Club. $5 a month. You automatically get entered into monthly prize draws. What other groups do that? None of them that I know. You get a private section for your own personal postings on the website. Keep it real. You get a monthly newsletter. You get special guest interviews for space travelers only, and much more. That's at spacedoutradio.com. Tonight we are talking with Samantha Mowat. Samantha is one of the best intuitive people I have ever met in my life. She's also a great ambassador for being an ET contactee. She comes on the second Tuesday of every month with the ET Experience. Her website is spacedoutradio.com. Samantha, we welcome you back.
Your website is spacedoutradio.com, Dave.
I thought that's what I said. Oh, yeah, SamanthaMowat.ca. There we go. You caught me on that one.
I'm on spacedoutradio.com, so close
Yes,
enough.
you are. Yes, you are. And we have links to SamanthaMowat.ca on there. Thank you.
Awesome. You're just so excited about your website being modified and new. You're like, yeah, let's do this. Let's go look at it.
I am excited about it.
I looked at it, and it's amazing. I love the transformation.
It is, and we have a little bit of everything for everybody to enjoy. So, besides a good crossword puzzle, which I enjoy, we've pretty much nailed it on down, and we are expanding ever so quickly, and I absolutely love it. So, right before the break, we were talking about a very important question, which is be careful what you wish for. Because a lot of people out there, Samantha, and I see it in our chat rooms, I see it from people who message me on social media or just talking to in the public when we talk about this subject. They're like, man, I don't care. I just need to have an experience so I know this stuff exists. But it's a whole different playing field than just having that experience. Because, like you've said many a times on your previous outings on this show and tonight, there's good and there's bad. So, how should people be careful what they wish for?
Well, when you're saying the energetic attention out to God, the universe, whatever it is you believe in, they're all the same thing. When you're saying that energetic intention out there, saying, I want to have contact, if you're stating it in just a very generalized way, then you're opening yourself up to all possibilities, some of which are very unpleasant. You don't want to open yourself up to abduction where you don't come home. You don't want to open yourself up to assault by various beings, because the reality of the matter is some people are assaulted by various extraterrestrials of all sorts of races. We can't just take this one on the reptilians, because we know for a fact it's more than that. But you do want to set your intention more towards, I want benevolent contact. I want to have conscious contact. I want to have contact with beings who are going to respect me and who are going to help me on my soul's journey, and that I can help on their soul's journey for the upliftment of Earth. Because really, that is our intention. That is why we've incarnated here. We are here to help the Earth. We're here to help the people of the Earth. And we're all trying to raise the vibration of this planet and the conscious vibrational level. That way it can ascend into a higher frequency, a higher dimension. So really, when you're saying that you want to make contact in general, you don't want to make contact with beings that are going to make you step back 2 paces. You want ones that are going to help you move forward. You don't want something that's going to, let's say, you don't want to have a reptilian rape where you're going to be traumatized by LETs and be terrified in the night and be terrified in your own skin and jump it every time you see a shadow. No. You don't want ET contact. That's not going to benefit you. You want contact with beings who are like Danny, who's a wonderful Arcturian, or like Phoebe, who's a variety of gray, or my little tan guy, or even like Michael or Sarah, just ones like that who are more kind and benevolent. So you do really want to focus on the good ET contact, making contact with beings that are of a higher, well, I can't just say a higher vibration, because, you know, a lot of the reptilians aren't that good of beings and they're of a higher vibration. So more of a loving vibration is probably a better way to put it.
Let's get back to the audience questions here. This one coming from Watchdog. In what way was your health improved? Was it consumption or healing?
Both. Well, one thing I've noticed, Watchdog, with my contact is when I have a lot of contact with beings that are of any variety of gray, be it grays, tans, Arcturians, white, things of that nature, I will always go back to more of a smoothie-based diet for quite a while, more of a salad-based diet, more of a soup-based diet, because the vibration of things like dairy, caffeine, alcohol will always throw off my vibration. So the way in which my health has improved is when I had Danny come take me, I was suffering from a really bad cold. I felt like crap, and when he came in to see me after they took me through the vortex and did their healing and then brought me back, the next day I felt better. The last time that I had healing done was in March, and we had gone to the island. This year I've had 3 really bad colds just right in a row, and the last one knocked me, I hate to say it, completely in my ass. Hope I'm not in trouble for saying that word. But I was literally waking, eating, sleeping for about 4 days, and after the 2nd or 3rd day of it, I said, okay guys, you need to come heal me. This is not okay. I'm not good with this. I need help. And so after 2 more days, so about day 5 or so, I woke up in the middle of the night and I had this beautiful being sitting in front of me. She looked like a form of typical hybrid. She looked very grayish in a sense, but she had black hair that was around shoulder length. I do believe she had bangs. Now, all I know is that I felt healing energy coming from her in towards my body, into my auric field as I lay there in bed. And I remember saying to her, oh, you have such pretty hair. And I know that may sound like a really silly thing to say, but you'd be surprised where your thought process goes when you're in that state, because they do change the way in which your mind works. They do, like if they're beings that are more benevolent, you feel that energetic resonance coming out of them, and that changes the way in which you think, the way in which you speak, the way in which you react. And for me, the next day I felt a lot better. I actually went outside the next day, which I hadn't done in a couple days at that point. I stopped throwing up. after she had come to see me. I didn't feel the need to lay down all day sleeping. Instead, I sat up and spent some time with my family, and sure, I rested a fair bit, but I was actually able to get up and go and walk around, which was a huge improvement from 2 days before that. So that is what you can expect when they're coming to take care of you and healing you.
Let's go to Eugene's question in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. How much of your spiritual development is due to these extraterrestrials, and how much is due to naturally developing psychic blossoming? Certainly what you've become is due more to your growth as opposed to alien-created psychic enhancement.
I would say a large part of mine, I do believe part of it is within my soul. I really do, when it comes to psychic abilities, past life knowledge coming through, things of that nature. But whenever I have tremendous experiences like the one I had on the farm when I was 16, 17 at my mom's, or the one I have with Danny, or the ones I had with that Reiki. Do you remember when I was giving Reiki to that one woman in Port Alberni? And I saw those 3 grays, and a few days later I saw them and was up on craft with them. When I have things like that going on, shortly after I have intense encounters, it changes the way in which my energetic field is fluctuating and working, and it tends to remove blocks that are embedded within that field, which tends to open you up more psychically. The more contact that you have with these beings, because they are operating on a much more psychic level, it's almost as though their energetic frequency will affect the way in which your own frequency is operating. So who we hang out with, we become. Dave, as you had said to me, I believe the first year that you and I met, you look at your 3 or 4 closest friends and that's what you are. You said something to me along those lines. So really pick your friends wisely. Well, it's the same thing with them. The beings that you hang out with, their vibration, their aura, their frequency is going to determine what your vibrational frequency is capable of doing. And so they do really affect the way your psychic development goes. And yes, it is in part to them, but it is in part because of who I am. But they sparked an obsession with psychic abilities in me after that.
Gail would like to know, we are like turnips to them. What could they possibly want from us?
Gail, we're not like turnips. And if you knew how much some of the Greys love and respect all plant life, you actually just paid us a tremendous compliment. It depends on the group, and it depends on the individual within that group. Like, for instance, when I'm dealing with beings like the Platons, a lot of the Platons will not mention that they actually have a debt towards a lot of the humans here because they haven't been able to help them to the extent that they should have. And there has been a nice way to put it is not betrayal, but not assisting when they should have. But then you've got other groups where it's like their soul family, their star siblings have incarnated on this planet at this time. So you have people from like the age of 2 all the way up to 50 going, I know I'm not from here. I know I'm from Andromeda or the Pleiades or Orion or Sirius. And so a lot of our people on this planet, they may be born here, but their soul's origin, their soul family is out there assisting them. And what is happening on Earth at this time, Gail, is affecting what is happening on other planets. And it's affecting, because our vibration is affecting our solar system, and our solar system's overall vibration is affecting the nearby galaxy, and that galaxy is affecting the nearby other galaxies. So really, I know it may seem like a bit of a snowball effect, but it is, and that's part of why they're here helping us, is if they help us, they are helping themselves. So Bill, we're not really turnips.
I'm a fan of turnips, though. I like turnips. I'm not going to lie. Bill Cardwell, who is #1 on our Spaced Out Radio SOR Space Traveler sign-up, and he sets the nightly password in the SOR Space Travelers, which I should mention now, which is Oracular. Oracular is the SOR Space Travelers password of the night. Use it wisely, Space Travelers. His question for you, Samantha, is every time in our history that a more advanced society makes contact with a more primitive one, it does not go well for the primitive one. What are the chances that we have any hope for survival once full contact is made with extraterrestrials and all of mankind?
Okay, Bill, I need to pose this question to you and this perception. The more advanced society has already been here for thousands of years. It is what has determined the way in which our current civilization is panning out. It is the reptilians, it is things of that nature. If a more advanced society, which is beyond the reptilians, comes into contact with us versus more reptilians, then it is going to go very well for us when they come in. However, if we have the reptilians that are operating at this time, the ones that they are in alliance with, the ones that they are working with coming in, then no, that would not work out well for us at all. So that is part of why we need for humanity to not only wake up, but to start making the decision to becoming sovereign beings again. Right now, most people, you tell them to do something, they won't think twice, they'll go do it. They may resent you for it, they may not think about it till 10 hours later, but they will not actually think about their actions or how their actions are affecting those around us. And I'm sorry to go off on a tangent for 1 second, but please just bear with me. If we can get people to start making their own decisions again, to start being at the realization that, okay, I'm not happy with the way things are playing out here. I'm not happy with our governments. I'm not happy with the system of poverty, the cycle of money, things of that nature. And we need to find a more benevolent change, one that actually honors and takes care of all, rather than just looking out for the singular, which is what we're doing at this time. And we decide that we want to be free again, and we reach that 100th monkey syndrome where we actually hit the 51% and then it starts escalating beyond that, we will have more of the benevolent beings coming in to help us, to take care of us, to help to give us that technology to really heal our planet, heal ourselves, because there's no reason humans should be living as short of a lifespan as they are. But right now, the majority of people are choosing to be enslaved. They're choosing to be afraid of extraterrestrials and multidimensionals, and they're okay with things being as bad as they are because at least they know what to expect. I'm sorry to go on a tangent, but I thought it was relevant.
Okay. We'll accept that.
Thank you.
Christopher in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker is asking, I have traveled in space in a couple of dreams before a star system that is orangish red. Has the guest ever heard of the THAL? T-A-U.
I haven't. Who are the THAL?
I have no idea.
Christopher, I do need to say one thing. There are millions and millions, and if not billions of societies out there. For anyone to know all of them, or to claim they know of all of them, would be supremely arrogant. And I would love to meet the THAL if they are of benevolent nature.
Shar in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker is asking, Samantha, why do you think they are good when you admit they control our thinking? They abduct us without consent.
Shar, some of them are good, some of them are bad. Some of us, as in humans, have made soul agreements prior to our incarnations to be abducted to monitor things such as chemical levels within our bodies, the advancement of souls as far as their psychic development, energetic awareness, things of that nature, or even psychological balance, or even the effect of our brain and how smart we are in comparison to the amount of toxicity levels such as fluoride, GMOs, things like that nature. So some of us do make agreements before we come in to be monitored and frequently checked up on to see how humans are doing overall before we incarnate. So in that sense, it's not necessarily an abduction. You may not necessarily remember the soul agreement, because if you remember making the soul agreement, you can get out of the soul agreement. So that is one thing I do need to mention about that. Some are good. If some of them weren't good, then I wouldn't be getting healing. I wouldn't see other people being healed. I wouldn't see people remembering their soul origins and being taken care of. We wouldn't see people having such a strong awareness of these are my family and coming to tears because they finally feel like I've actually found my siblings and I've found my family and things of that nature. You really can't assume that they're all bad, because that's just as racist, that's just as prejudiced as saying all redheads are soulless or all whatever or whatever.
Hey, hold on, you're a redhead. Are you saying you have a soul?
Totally do. It's expensive, too.
I don't know about that. I don't know. I mean, you redheads out there. I'm teasing.
Totally is. He's so teasing.
All right. Claudia has a question in the SOR Space Travelers.
Mm-hmm.
She says, I have a theory that many civilizations have advanced and did not have to come back. Could it be possible that humans are now ETs through advanced consciousness?
I think you're right, Claudia. I really do. I think that's a very accurate theory. You may be looking into our past and having recognition and memory of that, and that may be why you came to that theory. Or you may have infused knowledge and that's how you know it. But I do believe you're completely onto something there.
All right, let's continue on. Samantha, do you also channel ETs? This comes from Colleen in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker.
Ones that I trust, yes. If I know that they're not going to try to take control over my body, I would never channel a couple different groups because I do not trust their intentions and I do not trust leaving. When you're channeling, you're doing two things. It depends on what kind of channeling you're doing. If you're just doing things like clairvoyance or clairsentience, where you're feeling energy and you're seeing energy, then you're not allowing for something else to come into your body. But if you're going to channel mode, which is where your soul partially steps aside and another entity actually comes partially into your body, then that is what's known as trance channeling. That I will not do with anything because I do not trust anything to try to take ownership of my body, even on a temporary basis, to relay information. You can do that, and I have done it a bit, and I've had one bad experience with it, and I'm not going back into that. I'm not.
You know what? This just made me realize when I channeled for you one night, when I was getting into channeling, and I actually suffered an injury from it. Do you remember that?
I do, and I remember we went outside, and you weren't feeling very well. You felt kind of dizzy after, too, I believe.
I ended up going to the hospital a couple of days later because I thought I was having a heart attack. And because of that channeling session, I actually stretched the muscles in my chest. I should explain what happened. I'm channeling for Samantha, and I had just learned how to channel, and I was practicing, and I decided to learn from her. And the beings that follow her, I believe I was taken to a Pleiadian type place. And the weird part about it was I ended up seeing myself go through space and seeing the land where her extraterrestrial beings come from. And it was this big aqua blue building that was miles high. This is all they were able to show me. Miles high, and there was gold trim, and the windows were shiny with aqua blue. It was beautiful. I didn't see any beings or anything like that. But when I came back and I saw all of a sudden their planet, I left the town, and then the planet got smaller and smaller and smaller, and I remember turning around, and then I went through basically what you would see on Star Trek when you go through the wormhole or the light speed tunnel or whatever you want with the stars, the warp speed, yeah, where the stars all of a sudden become like white lines all around you. And I remember my neck and my chest tightening right up, and I ended up getting injured over that. It was the weirdest thing.
That's why you shouldn't trance channel. When you're trance channeling, your soul's partially leaving that space, but it's hard for, like, you gotta remember, when our soul incarnates into a body, we choose a body that is of a very close fit to our soul's vibration. So we choose something that's going to be aligned with what we are wanting to do in that incarnation, but also what is a reflection of what our soul is. So it would be like the right fit, so to speak. And when you partially step aside when you're trance channeling, it's like two beings having their feet inside one body, 1 foot from each being inside the body. It is going to stretch, and it's going to be uncomfortable, and it's not going to be good for either party. And that's part of why trance channeling can be not necessarily a dangerous thing, but something that can enable for something else to kind of push your soul out if you're not careful. So you don't want to just trance channel with anything. You want to really know who it is you're connecting to, who you're working with. And for me, with the amount of beings I'm talking to, and with the amount of manipulation that's going on with some of the other energies that I deal with on my day-to-day basis, I don't feel comfortable doing that at this time. So.
Well, it hurt. That's all I'm going to say. It hurt. We got time for just a couple of more questions until we're going to take our break at the top of the hour. Let's get to Gloria. Gloria needs a big mention out there because she's been waiting patiently. Gloria is asking, If I damage an ET that shows up in my bedroom unexpectedly at night, will they hold that against me?
No, not necessarily. Like, let's say you're dealing with a benevolent extraterrestrial, Gloria, and let's say you get scared, and like I said earlier, you throw a book and it hits them in the head. Well, they'll go back to craft, and they'll get healed, and they're not going to have that injury for a long time. They're really not. But they will remember that, hey, look at that wicked arm on Gloria. She's like, you guys got to be careful near her. Be very aware, be very attentive. So they will share that information of, we need to either have her in a more subdued, energetic state where she's at a point of more calmness, and in one sense you will have less control, so you'll be in a slight trance type state. You know when you see people when they're partially hypnotized and they're open to suggestion? It's kind of like that if they are trying to have a lot of control over you, if they don't feel comfortable with you, or if they feel as though you wouldn't necessarily fully benefit from having a conscious awareness of what's happening at the moment. So as they begin to trust you more, Gloria, and as you begin to really be more comfortable in their presence and them more comfortable in your presence, they will give you more and more conscious contact.
Let's try and squeeze in one more question here before our break. This comes from Eric in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. Is Earth a training planet for younger races? I am a firm believer that we are not the first people to get this far along the technological gradient.
I don't believe we're a training planet at all. I know some people really subscribe to that, and I do believe there are many planets out there where souls can develop and grow and learn lessons, and I believe that could have been one of the initial purposes for Earth. But at this time, no, looking at the harsh reality of much of what is going on our planet, I think that would be like throwing a child into a war zone expecting them to survive and thrive. So, no, I don't think it's a training planet.
On that note, we are going to hop out for our break at the top of the hour. 2 hours down, 1 hour to go on Spaced Out Radio tonight with the ever awesome Samantha Mowat. Her website, samanthamowat.ca. You can also find her profile by going to spacedoutradio.com. There, I got them both in. So excited about that. Samantha is a monthly contributor to this show with the ET Experience running the second Tuesday of every month. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be right back.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Every month on Spaced Out Radio, we look into the deep and dark reports of cryptids roaming around the world with me, Rob Morphy, from Cryptopia.us. I would love it if you would join me and host Dave Scott as we delve into the most arcane stories and reports regarding creatures of the unknown. My job is to hunt down the details and bring the evidence forward to you. These aren't your regular Bigfoot stories I'm talking about either. You can find out more about crypto history at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Is the 24-hour world starting to wear you down? Let me from Rivulet Reiki and Ratings lend you a hand. Hi, this is Jolene, and if you're in need of Reiki or a realm reading, come to my website, rivuletr.wix.com/rivuletrr, and let us help you out. At Rivulet, I specialize in healing your body, mind, and soul, no matter where you are. And be sure to check out the Rivulet R&R Facebook page for your best deals. Remember, it's time for you to make some time for you.
We have a minute 30 left.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an
I can't believe we're 2 hours
looking
in.
for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month, where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio travelers and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
This is the guy, first-time listener from the UK.
Hi,
I don't usually listen to shows with this type of content, as I'm only listened to U.S. broadcasts on the subject in the past, and this certainly is a difference. This is a lot more insightful, I'll be honest. I'm slightly on the skeptical side, but I'm always open to well-constructed, thought-out, and well-presented content. Does anyone have any other Canadian shows they can point me towards?
For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
Yes, you all heard that. I know.
Would you like to connect with us on Spaced Out Radio? Head to spacedoutradio.com to check out the latest shows, guests, and sponsors. And don't forget to sign up for the Space Travelers Club. You'll find all you need at spacedoutradio.com.
Yes, I left my microphone on, and yes, I started talking on purpose once it was pointed out to me by the effervescent news hound of the SOR team, Eric Markham. Thank you for my embarrassment for tonight. And thank you, Bill Cardwell, number one in the SOR Space Travelers' hearts and minds and souls. I appreciate that. Sometimes, we just forget to click our mic off. And that's exactly what happened. So, tomorrow night on the show, as we now continue with hour number 3 of Space Out Radio. Who's on? Oh yeah, the crypto guru, Ronald Murphy, is back. We're going to be talking vampires. We're going to be talking all sorts of ghoulish stuff tomorrow night on Spaced Out Radio, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. And yes, that was an awesome compliment that I read with my mic that was hot. Richard from the UK listening in on the first time. I mean it. That meant a lot. Thank you so much. That is why we do what we do on a nightly basis. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott SOR. Our YouTube channel, subscribe to it, is Spaced Out Radio Show. And our website is spacedoutradio.com. You can check out all of our great affiliates who we hang around with. You can check out the Bumblefoot page to hear our guitar god who rocks us in and out of every show. Check out Eric Markham's SOR Space Wire, as he has some really awesome and entertaining stories on a daily basis. And of course, you can join the SOR Space Travelers Club, where for only $5 a month, just $5, that's like a Starbucks coffee a month. And I'm saving you some health by doing that. You get your name automatically drawn into monthly prize draws. You get a private section on our website just for you guys in the Travelers Club. You get a monthly newsletter. You get a private monthly interview with a special guest. And we're thinking of more to give to you guys, because this show is all about you. Tonight we are talking to Samantha Mowat. SamanthaMowat.ca is her website. You can also find her as part of our team at spacedoutradio.com. Samantha is one of the top intuitives that I have ever met in my life, and she's probably one of the top ET contactees that I've ever met on this show. And I saw my first extraterrestrial with her, April of 2014. The ET experience happens the second Tuesday of every month. I'm going to turn your microphone on now, Samantha, because apparently I've just been jibber-jabbering for like a minute and a half, 2 minutes here. Welcome back.
Thank you, Dave. Hi, everyone.
Before we get to more audience questions, I do want to get to the topic of owls. And I bring up the topic of owls because one of our listeners, Joe, who lives on the California-Nevada border, in the last few months since he has started frequently listening to this show, he has seen an overabundance of owls. Now, there is stories out there that owls are messengers, both on a spiritual side and an extraterrestrial side. What is your take on owls?
Well, for me, when I see owls, typically it's because I have encounters, and typically it's with beings that are greys. More of your typical greys rather than the offshoot varieties that I've had more encounters with. Whenever I go to the island, I typically end up staying at a few different places. And normally when I go to these places, I hear owls a lot, especially right after contact or right before contact. So normally if I wake up in the morning and I hear owls hooting, it's like, okay, I've probably just had contact. And you think, well, maybe there's just a lot of owls on the island. Well, no, not in the places that I'm visiting. But Joe, one thing that I like for you to really take into account is, yes, you're hearing owls, and yeah, you're seeing them for a bit, but if you start dreaming about owls, or you're driving down the road and you think you see an owl and it's either standing on the side of the road, or it's staring at you, or it's on the ground in front of you a little distance, really stop to feel the energy, the vibration coming out of this owl to determine if it's actually an owl or if it's an extraterrestrial projecting into your mind the image of an owl rather than its true form. For me, the last time that I ended up having an owl encounter, or an encounter with a being, it was actually more of a dream encounter, so an astral projection, and I had this really weird dream, and I saw an owl and a boy, but the boy's eyes were glowing, and the owl's eyes were not glowing, but the boy's eyes were glowing really white, and for some reason I thought, oh, well, that's really weird, this is an odd encounter, I've never seen this kind of being before, and I knew that with the way the owl was presenting itself, this was something projecting this image of an owl onto my mind, and I wasn't sure why at first, but when I went outside the next morning, I heard a lot of owl hooting repeatedly, and it hooted for like a good hour straight, so I knew, okay, something's not quite right about this, and I never thought to explore it much further. But when you have a lot of contact with greys or offshoot varieties of gray, which would also be very common in your area, the California-Nevada area, then chances are this is another way in which these beings are starting to make themselves known to you.
Do you believe, though, that there is direct correlation between greys and owls? So if you're having a lot of frequent owl sightings, that it automatically means you are being taken?
Taken or protected by them. A lot of people hear the word taken and they assume more of a negative connotation, but it could also mean that these beings can feel a fascination with you or have an affinity towards you. You may be doing something which is fascinating to them, and they may be just watching and keeping an eye on you.
Should people be aware or conscious if they start seeing owls more frequently?
Yes, definitely. Record it on your calendar, just write owl. And you'll be able to see, okay, well, I noticed that in the summer months I didn't see any owls, but for some odd reason I started to see a lot in the fall, or I started to see a lot in September. And pay attention to what your dreams are like during that time. Pay attention to any odd, either synchronistic or paranormal events going on in your life, because they tend to all be really having a strong correlation with one another. People think that synchronicity or deja vu or paranormal and ETs, they think it's all separate, but that's actually one of the things that I'm meant to do in this life is to help people tie them together and see how they're all really interconnected and how they confirm one another. If you see owls and you've seen them a lot and you're dreaming about owls, you are probably actually encountering greys, and they're probably just putting on a facade in your mind. The best way to determine this is to feel your energy. Sit down sometime and just ask your body, because your body knows, your higher self knows. You can ask it, okay, am I having encounters when I see these owls? Or have I had encounters when I thought I was seeing an owl? And then you feel the energy coming out of you. Because you got to remember, If it's a no or if it's a lie or it's wrong, it will always feel heavy. But if it feels light or the vibration feels consistent or feels higher, like a lighter feeling or just kind of maintaining what you're at, it's typically a yes. So really check in with yourself. You don't have to go check in with other people. You need to start relying on yourself to determine this information.
Why do extraterrestrials, namely the Greys, choose owls?
I think it's a vibration or an animal that they really resonate with and connect to. If you think about it this way, owls have very large eyes. Well, so do Greys. An owl, like we have some pretty big owls here in Canada that can be like 3 feet tall. Some of the Greys are around a similar size, so for them to stretch it a couple inches, especially if it's at a distance, then people would be like, oh look, it's just an owl that's hopping on the ground. Or, oh look, it's just an owl outside, it's owl eyes looking at me. Or an owl in the tree, when really it's not necessarily, but it's easier to just project that image into your mind. If we were to see, let's say, cougars instead, we'd probably be a little more freaked out and panicky. We think, oh, it's just an owl, it's a bird. No biggie.
So when it comes to the owls being messengers of sorts, is there a message telepathically that they will give us, or internally, or in a dream state that maybe we should check out to see whether or not we are being downloaded any information, or whether they are actually giving us the sign that we are being taken or watched?
I would say definitely you want to pay attention to those signs and record. The reason why I'm such a big fan of journals is when you write things down, you bring through more information that you forgot about. You may not be putting all that information and connecting it in your head, but when you start to write it out, you can actually judge it and gauge it more accurately. Owls are a sign of wisdom, and they have been regarded as wise since ancient times. Ancient Greece, ancient Rome, even ancient Egypt all regarded the owl as being an incredibly wise animal, and they've always had that association with flight. And perhaps one of the reasons why that the ancients associated owls with Greys, and why we associate owls with Greys, and why Greys themselves associate with owls, is they are not only a wise animal, but they are a very survival animal, an animal that can survive in situations that others can't, and they also are associated with flight. Well, ETs fly with craft, while owls are able to fly on their own. Humans have always been very fascinated by that. And I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent again.
You know, that's all right. You're allowed. They do look alike, though. They look very similar in the facial structure.
It'd be interesting to see what an owl looks like without its feathers and putting it side by side with a gray. And I don't ever actually want to see what an owl looks like without its feathers, because then the poor thing would have gone through tremendous pain. But just on purely a scientific perspective, it'd be interesting to see how biologically similar they are. The Greys, one thing people don't understand about is they are so connected to the forest, they are so connected to the planet. When they actually step on the ground, they are connecting to the information that their feet are receiving. We're hearing stories now about the starseed children that are able to read using their feet, or read the vibration or energy of people just by standing on the same ground as them or standing in their shoes. Well, Greys can do something very similar. They can be walking through the forest, and if you're trying to run from one of them, they can connect in with the trees, they can connect in with the animals, and they will share direct information, and the trees will even tell them, hey, look, the person actually went this way. Or they can help them go and be like, oh, well, there are people that are camping that are of a pleasant vibration that way, things of that nature. And so for them, connecting in with the owl would be quite easy. They can connect so easily with plants. They can also connect very easily into the minds of our flora. So, a little bit of a random tidbit.
Oh, absolutely. So for someone like Joe who is seeing a lot of owls, is that something that he should be worried about, or is that something... No. Explain why then.
Well, Joe, I wouldn't be worried about it, because if you're seeing the owls, it means they're also being respectful to you. They're trying their best to remain at a state of courtesy with you. If they are showing themselves in their true form, and they're in your presence this often, you may get freaked out and be like, the world's coming to an end, there's aliens everywhere, when that's not necessarily what they want. They may just want to be like, okay, Joe, here's our friendly reminder that you're here, and we're just going to gradually change your energy from being as an owl to you looking at us going, you're looking like an owl, but I'm feeling an ET, to, oh, look, there's an owl that's across my yard, to, oh, look, there's an owl on my porch. Just getting you more accustomed to their vibration. If they were of a malevolent nature, then they would not be paying you a courtesy. They would not be giving you signs and symbols and messages. This is them being considerate. So I would be more grateful than anything, to be honest.
I do want to remind our listeners that tomorrow night, you, and apparently me now, for the first 45 minutes, are going to be on with Lorian Fenton on InceptionRadioNetwork.com starting at 8 p.m. Pacific. And we're going to talk about our experience together. So that's going to be absolutely awesome. That's tomorrow night on the Inception Radio Network with Lorian Fenton. It's going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to that.
It's so much fun.
It is going to be fun. You know, I really look forward to that, to be bluntly honest. I won't get to stay for the full show like you are, but, you know, the fact that we get to chat about it, I think it's going to be great. Let's get to a question from Richard in the UK. What are your thoughts on where consciousness lies? Is it internal or external?
I believe consciousness is both, because in my point of awareness, in my understanding, Richard, we are just these tiny little electrons that are all connecting to everything. But I believe you are able to connect the consciousness that is within yourself, within your heart center, your soul, whatever you wish to call it, and connect to the consciousness around you and become one consciousness eventually when you learn to be at the similar vibration and same understanding that you're connected to all. But most of us can't quite do that. I know I certainly can't.
Let's get to another question here, and I just gotta find it here because there's so much going on in the chat room on the SOR Space Travelers that I get caught up trying to search for them. Here's from Claudia again. Claudia is asking. Oh, go ahead.
Right after we're done the question from Claudia, I'd like to say one thing to Joe very quickly. But keep going.
Well, why don't you say that right now, and then we'll get to Claudia's question.
Okay, so Joe, in May of 2015, I had an encounter where I had a bunch of grays. Like, they took myself and my husband up on craft in a lucid astral projection encounter. And when they did this, they were appearing like animals. And I was a little bit confused as to why they would suddenly be appearing like this, because typically they don't put on a facade for me anymore. They just show me their more authentic, chosen bodies in their incarnation. But I realized that with this, it was to make my husband a lot more comfortable while this was happening, because we did have a bunch of things going on in that encounter, and they aren't showing as much of a facade now with him as they did previously, but in some of the joint encounters he and I have had, they have, well, up until last year, used a lot of the, one I believe was an owl, and I believe another one was, I think it was some variety of cat, but they were all really large animals, and I just thought I'd throw that in there. But what did Claudia have to say?
Claudia's question is, do the extraterrestrials know that humans using the power of thought are capable of creating miracles and creating the impossible?
Yes. They've explained to me quite a few times that literally whatever we focus our energy on, we will create. And depending upon our belief system and our belief structure, they've told me if you want to manifest something very rapidly, you have to make that your primary point of focus and remove the beliefs of obstacles as to why you can't have it and why it can't happen. So one thing they've been doing with me is they've been helping me shatter and remove a lot of the belief systems that I had in place about what was capable or what I was capable of and what was possible. Which was really difficult, to be very honest with you. I had a lot of blocks.
Follow up to Claudia's question, do the ETs know how powerful humans are when we are using the power of thought? If we visualize a golden dome and stand in it and say nothing can come in, can they still penetrate it?
I don't believe they can, as long as we're strong in our energetic conviction. Claudia, the reason why a lot of extraterrestrials and multidimensionals will make contact with us when we're in that lucid state of sleeping, in particular when they put us in more of a trance-like state, I believe is an indication as to how concerned in one level they are about our capabilities, be it whether it's for benevolent or malevolent reasons for our encounters. With a lot of people, when they're in a state of fear, if something's taking them completely out of their element, they will resort to some form of metaphysical energetic protection, whether it's suddenly manifesting a weapon or manifesting superhuman strength or using energy as a form of protection, be it pillars of light, shockwaves, you name it, things of that nature. And that's why they tend to put us in more of a subdued state unless they're comfortable with us and we're comfortable with them.
How does one tell if they are having a positive or negative extraterrestrial experience?
There's a couple ways you can do it. First of all, you want to look at, like, let's say you're in an experience in this moment. Pay attention to a few things. Are the beings being courteous to you? Are they being polite? Are they putting, like, if they're putting on a facade, is it because, like, feel it out when you're in these encounters. Does it feel like they're doing it that way you're not scared, or does it feel like they're doing it because they're trying to be manipulative? So when you're near these beings, trust what you're feeling. If you're feeling love emanating out of them, if you're feeling a sense of calmness and you're feeling family and security, then chances are that they're not actually manipulating the vibration. If you're feeling a sense of familiarity, then your soul knows them and recognizes them, and that's okay. If you're having, let's say, the opposite going on, where you're in an encounter and you're looking around going, this room doesn't make sense. The clock doesn't actually have numbers, or, that's weird, there's books on the table, but all the pages are blank, and I feel really uncomfortable with this being, and I feel like something's not right, and I'm feeling scared, and I'm feeling like this is a facade, then trust it. If you're not feeling safe in the situation, then you have every right to tell the being, I don't want to do this, I don't agree to this, take me home. And if that being doesn't respect what it is you're saying, then chances are they don't have your best interest at heart. You really have to feel, how do I feel when I'm in their presence? My first reaction is, if I feel safe enough with them and I run up to them and hug them, I know they're completely fine. But if my soul is keeping its distance and I want to keep a good 10, 20, 30 feet between me and that being, I know there's someone I probably don't want to deal with. Yes, Dave?
On that part then, when we have so much worry regarding the negative extraterrestrial experience, are there signs on ourselves that we should look at to know whether or not we are being taken, and how do we figure it out?
There are a couple different ways. You can either look at things on an energetic level, like I do, where you look at your aura and you see, okay, well, my aura looks really lopsided, or it looks like my root chakra is bleeding, or, hey, look, this suddenly has a block around it after that dream. That's weird. So you can look at things on an energetic level, or you can look at things on a physical level, where pending, like if you don't have small children and dogs, and you have unexplained bruises, and you have unexplained marks that look like they could be puncture marks or scoop marks, or you're having a really bad abdominal pain after dreaming you had surgery or something like that, then those are all signs that you're having encounters. Or those are more the malevolent signs. Do you want me to focus more on benevolent signs, or what would you like?
Well, let's talk about the benevolency now about that, because I think that's very important too.
Okay. So I had mentioned earlier how I felt a lot better after that one lovely great being, how that hybrid one came to help heal me. You may feel like that, or when you're having encounters with certain beings, like let's say when I'm going to craft and I'm going to school, which even still at this age, I'm still going into school learning how to manipulate energy and how to play with energy and things of that nature. So when I'm having that going on, the next day I will feel my aura being larger. I will feel like I'm more vibrant, like I'm happier, like this can sound a bit odd to your listeners, so please bear with me. Like I have more energy to play with and manipulate, and I can feel it moving up and down my body more and into my hands more. When you're having benevolent encounters, you may feel a sense of calmness and security and a sense of being really well watched out for and taken care of. Things of that energetic nature will last, and I don't just mean energy, but I mean the feelings behind it. You'll have more love in your, more love towards other people, more love towards yourself, more love in general when you're dealing with the benevolent ETs on a more regular basis, or if you've just had a really good encounter with them, because they'll help you be more aligned to that vibration. They really want us to focus on our heart center, because one thing that's really well hidden for most of humanity is our emotions determine how much energy we are outputting. So have you noticed that when you're scared, you feel really tense and small typically, how it feels like you're dense and heavy? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
But then when you're having that strong rush of like, I need to protect myself, I need to expand, make myself bigger, how you suddenly feel like you're huge, like your aura is projecting so far out and like it's expanded and like you're all powerful. Or when you're really happy, how you feel like you're encompassing and connected to the whole world. If you look at your emotions are immensely connected to your energetic body. And your energetic body, depending upon who you're in connection with, will actually determine what your health is like. So when you're contacting benevolent extraterrestrials, you are going to be healthier because they are going to raise your vibration and move it over towards the happy feelings, towards the connecting to your heart center, towards when you're connected to your heart and you have that really happy energy, that really loving, connected energy, you're not in a place where disease, illness, or dis-ease, as in a state of not being at ease in your aura, can take place. Because if you have dis-ease in your aura, you will develop disease. So that is a very, very common thing that people actually need to be more aware of. And that's one thing that extraterrestrials have helped embed in my mind and my understanding is if they are interacting with you, they are aligning your aura, which they do with all starseeds, all contactees when they're benevolent, all even people who think they're abducted by the benevolent beings. They will place your energetic body in a harmonious state to remove illness and blocks, because the energetic blocks will make you sick. But if you're dealing with the negative ones and they're keeping your aura low and they're keeping your energetic body close to you and they make it so you're like you have that tension in your stomach and you feel really fearful, you are going to develop gut problems and heart attacks, irregular heart palpitations, and anxiety, and you're going to have things of that nature going on. And I'm not sure if I've gone off on a complete tangent, but those are some signs to really be more attentive towards.
On that note, we are going to hop out for our final break of the night. Samantha Mowat is our guest. She is taking part in the ET Experience. Happens every Tuesday, or make that the second Tuesday of every month, right here on Spaced Out Radio. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back right after this.
Are you an experiencer? Have you had run-ins with strange creatures you can't explain? ETs, Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolves? They're enough to scare the daylights out of anyone. Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski from Your Cop. And on the last Monday of every month, you can listen to me and the host, Dave Scott, talk about the weird and the strange being reported on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to bring my investigations and sources, you bring your experiences, and we'll figure out the rest together. Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. Come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio?
Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us.
From the radio, commercials, to banners, to social media.
Have a product you'd like our host to endorse? We can do that too.
Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry.
Right here, this is where we divulge the fruit of our research. Here on the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern on Spaced Out Radio.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where 2 members of our team will be available to answer your questions. We'll give you some equipment updates and some of our experiences on the road, right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
Missed most of tonight's show? Don't worry, you didn't miss a thing. You can head to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and download our archives for free. And don't forget to get your Space Travelers membership today. Now, back to tonight's show.
And welcome back to the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. As we've rounded third, we are heading for home. Tomorrow night, the Crypto Guru is back. He comes on Spaced Out Radio the third, or make that the second Wednesday of every month. Ron Murphy, author Ronald L. Murphy Jr. If you're looking for his books on Amazon, I highly suggest you get in touch with those. The Crypto Guru will be back talking vampires and all sorts of ghoulish stuff tomorrow night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. Hey, if you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. And when you go to our website, check out all the cool features we put on there for you. You can check out our guitar god, Bumblefoot, on his page by clicking on the Bumblefoot banner. Check out Pacific North Weird, the newest addition to Spaced Out Radio Land, as we bring in Vince and Alex to show you their really cool videos on the homepage. The SOR Spacewire. That is our news director, Eric Markham, who's got that put together. And, of course, the SOR Space Travelers Club. $5 a month. That's all it's going to cost you. That's a Starbucks a month to join in and have some fun with your fellow space travelers. Tonight, for the final time, we introduce Samantha Mowat. Her website, samanthamaowat.ca. She is highly intuitive and highly contacted when it comes to extraterrestrials. Samantha, thank you so much for being on. This show definitely flown by. I can't believe we're in the final half hour already.
Thank you so much for having me, Dave. It's been fun. I like it.
Let's get to some questions from our audience here, because they are learning a ton tonight. And by the way, Joe says thank you for all of the insight that you have given him in regards to owls.
You're most welcome, Joe. I hope it helps.
Eric is asking in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. He says, I have heard many guests on this show, Samantha, say that the feeling they had when encountering mantids was extreme love. Is this consistent with your personal experiences?
Yes, for all except for one. The majority of the mantis beings that I've met, manta, mantid, mantis, depending upon where you are in the world, I have felt a tremendous amount of love and healing and consideration. They're an incredibly intelligent race, and they know more about the human body than we could ever hope to know. But there was one being that wasn't quite nice, that was a mantis, but she was very different from the rest of them. So, yeah.
Do you care getting into that? Describing that a little bit?
Yeah, if you want me to. So what happened was last year I had this really odd encounter, and I found myself astral projecting with two men that I'm very close to. And at one point we were driving, and I noticed that in the encounter, all of a sudden, like, look around when you guys know you're dreaming. If you see a extraterrestrial craft of any kind, if you look at it and you focus your energy on it, I guarantee you that craft is going to come to you. And anyway, that we stopped the vehicle, and I said, "Hey, look up. Do you see that? Do you see that orange and yellow craft?" I have seen that one several times now. And typically when I see a round craft and it's got rectangular lights with like one light in the center, and it tends to be with a lot of mantis, orange and red and white lights on them for some reason on their craft. Anyway, all of a sudden, I remember I sent this telepathic message up to it. And when I did that, it disappeared. And I remember thinking, okay, well, that's not right. And then when this happened, we got out of the car, and I grabbed the hands of the two people I was with, and I said, let's go see who it is. And so we ended up floating to the underside of this craft into this inner circular section. And this is the first time I ever remember going to a craft this way. And as soon as we did that, we were met immediately by this humanoid type woman. So when I say humanoid, I mean, yes, bipedal, similar to human, but not quite looking right. And the thing I didn't quite feel comfortable with is she was wearing this blue suit. And it was not form-fitting, but it looked very protective. And typically, when I see humanoids, I normally do feel safe, but something felt a little bit odd about this. And I noticed that there was this mother up there with a small, like her very, very small daughter, I'd say maybe 5 or 6 or something like that. And this little girl had blonde hair, and something about it just didn't really feel right to me. It felt odd. And I looked closer at the humanoid woman's face who I first saw when we got on the craft. And I knew she was an ET, and then I realized that she was falsely portraying herself. I could tell. Do you remember earlier, guys, how I had mentioned when you're seeing anyone, especially if you're on the other side when you're astral projecting, always look at their face, because if you notice inconsistencies, like in 1 minute their eyes may be bigger and then smaller the next, or their nose may be different, or their hair will look different, something about it will be inconsistent. And that's what I noticed with this woman. So I walked away from my two companions, and then I found myself walking down a hallway, and I walked into a corridor, and there was there's huge regal energy. And I looked around, and there was this giant mantis being, and she was black. And I mean huge. Like, she must have encompassed a good size, like, think of your typical living room size. She was probably about that big. And I called her by her name because I recognized her upon seeing her. And I knew that we are not on the same team. We are not supposed to be working with each other. We don't actually like one another. And when she turns to look at me, I realize that I've made a terrible mistake. I've never seen such a menacing energy in my life, and she did not like me at all. I knew that if she got a hold of me, that this would be a very terrible thing for me. And I'm not, well, proud to admit this, but I didn't think of either of my companions, and I abandoned them. But luckily they followed me outside the craft, but the thing I didn't like about it was when I exited the craft in this astral encounter, I moved myself to a place where I find a lot of security, especially when I'm on the other side, somewhere I frequently astral project to. And this mantis being with her craft, because she was in control of it, and she was giving the orders to the other beings on this craft, she had them following me, and I had to astral project into several different places and kept teleporting to try to get away from her. And these are some things you will encounter if you do start to have astral encounters. It can be a little challenging, but please know, I've met like mantis beings probably over a dozen times now, and she is the only one that I've ever met that treated me like that, or who I had that reaction to. Most are very, very beautiful beings. So please take that into account.
Claudia has a question for you in the Space Out Radio chat room, actually the SOR Space Travelers. Can the benevolent beings protect us from the malevolent ones?
Yes, they can, although it depends on where you are. If you're astral projecting, and let's say, Claudia, you're typically dealing with beings that are in the fourth dimension, fifth dimension. So you're looking at beings for fourth, fifth would be typically Greys, Reptilians, Pleiadians. If you're looking at things that are of a higher dimensional vibration beyond that, such as your Andromedans, Arcturians, light beings, angelic beings, the Andromedans, Arcturians, light beings, and angelic beings will not interfere. They will not protect you if they see you are being affected by something, because they believe it is a free will universe and that you have made the choice that led to this action, and this is part of your soul development. They have a no interference clause. But if you're looking at beings such as your Pleiadians, Reptilians, and things of that nature, and Greys, or even Mantis, they are only within the fourth and fifth dimension, and they will interfere because they're a little more meddlesome, which can be beneficial for us. They can interfere either on the astral side, which is when you astral project typically outside of the third dimension into the fourth, if you're in somewhere that's more positive, or you can astral project down into the lower dimensions, which is like your second and third, which is where you have a lot of your nightmare dreams. It's quite dark and things of that nature. Or they can assist you when it comes to you being awake in physical encounters, which is where they will either come to see you at night. Let's say you're having... God, I haven't actually had any bad things happen to me, thank goodness, ever in the daytime, so I've never had to ask them for help. But let's say you're driving somewhere and you have to pull over because you really have to pee. And then you may end up seeing a craft in the sky, or you may get the sudden, energetic signature from one of the beings that you work with saying, you have to get in the car now and you have to leave right now. Well, they may be taking you away from beings that are residing within that area, who have an awareness of you being there, that don't have the best intentions towards you. Things of that nature.
Let's get to another question here. This one comes from Shar in the Space Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. If you end up seeing extraterrestrials, does that mean you have been taken?
Not necessarily, because Dave, you and I saw extraterrestrials in the woods in the daytime, and you weren't taken that night, and I don't recall being taken that night. That just means you encounter them.
I just remember being taken about 5 months later.
That's okay.
And I'm still amazed that you told me that that was going to happen, and boom, it did.
Well, if I was wrong, I'd really hope I was moving to a different profession.
Well, that's one way to put it. That is one way to put it. Let's get to Gail's question here in the SOR Space Travelers, or make that Gloria's question, pardon me. Do extraterrestrials always look the same or wear the same things each time you see them, Samantha? Or do they change their clothes at all? Are they fashionistas?
Fashionistas, no. Practicalnistas, definitely. I have seen them wearing clothing sometimes. For instance, I've never seen humanoid beings like Pleiadians naked. I have seen some Greys that will wear clothing, some Tans that will wear clothing. I have seen a little brown guy wearing a really cute, wrist to neck to covering his feet suit, where it covers most of his body except for his hands and his head. And I have seen him naked other times, but I've never seen him in something that was what I would say worn for his own enjoyment. It looked like it was only worn for practical purposes. Typically, when you encounter humanoid beings, they will have a bit more of a fluctuation in clothing. So let's say, when I've had my Pleiadian encounters in the Pleiades, when I'm actually on planet Intigera, then yes, they are wearing typically more of a dress or robe type being. Don't think bathrobe, because that is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking not quite Grecian either, that's not right. But something more of those lines. But when they're on craft, they'll be wearing more of their suit that will cover from their wrists up to their neck, going down over their body. It's more of a one-piece type outfit. But when you encounter them, let's say they're here on Earth, they can be wearing the same clothes as us, because when they do walk among us quite frequently, because they're close enough in appearance that they can pass for human, a very healthy or attractive human typically, but still human. In fact, I'd be surprised if every single person that you've ever met, they probably walked past an extraterrestrial walking amongst humans at one point of their life or another. So really, yes, depending upon the race and depending upon the circumstance, they may change their outfit.
Let's go to Shar's question in the Space Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. She says, my mother saw a Grey and mantid beings together. Is that normal?
I would say so, depending upon which greys and which mantids they do work together. A lot of beings, like when you go on craft, it's not always just one type of being on a certain craft. You could have 2 or 3 different types working in unison together, depending upon their specialities and depending upon what it is they're doing with that mission. So let's say you've got a craft that's going around the planet and it's healing a particular group of starseeds. Let's say one's in the UK and then another's in Texas and then another one's over in Australia. And let's say it's something along those nature. Well, if they're all going to get a sample done to determine, okay, well, what is the standard toxicity level for a woman that's in her 30s right now? Out of our contactees, let's see how they're doing. Let's see where their brain function is at in comparison to the amount of toxins they're exposed to. So they would go to let's say the woman in the UK, and you'd have the mantis that would be checking the biological components of the human, be checking, running the tests and everything else. But you'd have the grey that would go up to collect them, and you may have I haven't seen Nordics working with mantis, but you may see one there that's either in charge of the ship or help running the ship, things of that nature. Do you see how they can be interacting?
Of course. How do you know which ones are AI, though, artificial intelligence, compared to greys that are maybe their own being?
So one way that you could check, and there's only one being that I've encountered where I suspect it could possibly have been an AI. And the one way in which you would want to really do it is pay attention, like right now, like say tomorrow, when you're meeting people. Pay attention to how your body feels as you meet them. Feel their energy, and that may be like, oh God, that's overwhelming. How do I feel their energy? Would you actually have to touch them? No. So when you walk into a room and there's another person in it, feel what the room, like let's say you're in the kitchen and no one's in the kitchen with you, and then you walk into the living room where your spouse is. Feel the difference in the kitchen to the living room. Feel that energy being emitted by the person. And I want you to start doing this with all the different people you meet, because then you'll start to feel the energetic resonance coming out of them. You'll feel the life in them. Versus when you're, like, let's say on craft, or you meet extraterrestrials or multidimensionals or possible AIs. When you meet them, you want to feel the energetic signature coming out of that being. Because everything that is alive has a soul, and all souls have our energy, and they emit a certain frequency depending upon that soul's development, that soul's character. If it's AI, there is no soul. It is just it's not really a husk, but it feels different. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to explain it.
Makes total sense. Christine in the SOR Space Travelers has a question. Are there any microscopic aliens that we would be giants to them?
Probably. You gotta remember, Christine, the universe is stranger than we can imagine. It's even stranger than we could even, possibly comprehend. It really is. Do you remember on the first Men in Black movie, at the very end, how it zoomed out from Earth, and then it went out to the galaxy, then the universe, and then it was eventually in a marble, and there was an alien finger tossing the marble? I believe things like that are completely possible. In fact, I think that was probably poking at us, saying, hey, look, we're so insignificant on one hand that we can't even comprehend it, yet our entire universe is contained in a very small area.
Kind of like Horton makes Here's a Who.
Yes, isn't that a wonderful story?
It makes you really think how small and finite we are.
And on the same hand, how exciting that there's so much more out there, and there's even more to explore, and that it's just a matter of, getting the opportunity to really go out and see what else is possible in the universe.
Mario has a question for you. I don't mean to laugh. The guy, everyone in the SOR Space Travelers is making me laugh right now and reading their comments. But Mario has a question for you here. Samantha, have you ever had an alien ask you for a promiscuous advance?
No, I've never had any extraterrestrial or multidimensional ask me for a promiscuous advance or a sexual encounter. I have had one reptilian take advantage of me when I was drinking in Hawaii, but that's a completely different and rather infuriating moment in my life. So, no permission asked, but one has taken, yes.
Watchdog wants to know, does Do extraterrestrials, greys, or reptilians worship or speak of a god?
Not necessarily. I know of many extraterrestrials, not greys and reptilians, but many extraterrestrials do believe in one form of creator. And typically, from what they've explained to me, it is a creator essence, and they do call it more of a creator rather than a god, because God has a lot of stigma around it that they don't agree with. It has a hierarchical description, but really they see the creator as more of a something that's always trying to discover, okay, well, what else is possible? What else is new? What else can I make? What comes about this if this happens, or what happens if, or what will happen if that occurs? That is more how they tend to see the creator, as a life essence that is always growing, expanding, and learning and creating, rather than God in the way in which we see a man on a white fluffy cloud who's really bad with money. No offense to anyone who's religious.
Claudia has a question here. Whereabouts did you see your extraterrestrial contacts?
Which one?
When you were taken. Hold
Which
on.
time?
Well, let me. It's kind of. Well, let's see. What cities did the guest see when she was taken? What was there? Like, what did you see when you were, I'm assuming, up in space, hanging out, flying the ship, going to parties with good shoes on? You know how it goes.
Well, okay, I've got a couple things. One, I don't typically wear shoes when I'm on craft. Two, I don't actually think to look out a window. Typically, Claudia, when I find myself on craft, I don't find windows. I typically find myself either in a classroom type setting where I'm with a small group of people, typically somewhere between 6 and 10 others, and I'm learning, where either we're learning about the energy coming out of plants, healing modalities, how to manipulate energy, how to play with energy, how to use our psychic abilities on others. I don't think to look out the window, but when we have landed, I have looked around and sometimes found myself on other planets. But that's completely different. I don't think, when you're in that space, you don't think to ask, hey, which planet are we on? Because when you're there, you have the energetic awareness, or you have the knowledge of familiarity of where it is you're going or who it is you're going with. So you don't think to ask those questions. One thing that was asked of me is, hey, what are the names of all the beings you work with? And a lot of them don't have names, and when they do, they're of almost like sounds or words that we can't pronounce. You recognize the energetic signature of locations, just as you recognize the energetic signature emitted from various beings. Things of that nature. And I'm sorry if I didn't answer your question, in which case please just rephrase it and ask it again. I will answer it.
When you've been on ships and you've gone up for these very strong learning sessions, and this question comes from Dave, sitting on this side of the microphone.
Hi, Dave.
Trying to earn myself a big mention here. But anyways, have you ever seen other people on a ship that were maybe having things done to them?
Yes, many times. Do you remember during Kenta and the Contact, Dave had talked about how I went on that one craft with a bunch of other women, and how I walked into the room and they're like, it's not your turn, you need to leave, we're busy. Well, that's one example of when I would walk in and see someone else having either, not scientific experiments, that's the wrong way, but medical things done to them because they were needed for their soul, or they were needed to check the different pollutant levels. And for some reason, they're really fascinated by the level of pollution in our bodies right now. And I'm not entirely sure why that is, and I never think to ask it. But I do see people on there quite often, and sometimes I do get really annoyed at some of the other humans I encounter on there.
Does it bother you to see what they are doing to other human beings? What does it look like from a personal point of view?
Well, no, it doesn't really bother me at all. The reason why I went on that one, the one craft experience that I had, where I went up and I went into that little cabin in the woods, and then I went up on top of into the craft where there were all those other women, is the girlfriend that I had that I recognized in that experience. She was like 5 months pregnant. They were just checking to see, okay, well, what are the reproduction systems like on these various women? And when I walked into the room, I saw them kind of like they were doing some sort of scan on her energetic body around her root chakra and her sacral chakra. So think around the reproductive organs between her vagina all the way up to about 2/3 of the way to her belly button. They were focusing on that energy area. And it doesn't concern you at all when you're there. You just look at it and go, oh, okay, no problem. It's like you walk into a dentist room and you see them working on a cavity on someone. It's normal, it's everyday. It doesn't really bother you or affect you. But sometimes where it can actually bother me more is when I'm in a learning type experience and I'm dealing with other, like, let's say we're doing energetic work. And we're learning how to move energy up and move energy down and like change the color of the energy or change the density. And we're supposed to be sending that energy from ourselves into someone else. If the person I'm working with or I'm supposed to be having this experience with is starting to wake up and is getting freaked out rather than actually focusing on what it is they're supposed to be doing, and that person starts, I hate to say it, being kind of stupid with the energy, that's where I get annoyed. And when it's not that it bothers me when they go up to the people and they put their hand on their shoulder and have them go to a more calm state. That doesn't bother me. But what bothers me at the extraterrestrials is how I can't always read their minds or know what it is they're thinking. And I don't know if it's just because they're at a state where they're not necessarily thinking in that situation, where they're just observing and being present in the moment, or if they're shielding and blocking their mind. That is more what bothers me in that situation.
We have 2 more questions left before we got to call it the night. This one comes from Colleen in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. Samantha, have you ever seen people on a ship that you later met back on Earth?
A couple of people. And it's also frustrating, especially if it's done in a love bite scenario and you have that instant recognition with someone, especially when other people notice it. Yes, it is common, Colleen.
And Vesna, our lovely Vesna,
Yay,
all the way from Croatia, who is actually also an advertiser on the spacedoutradio.com website for her beautiful art. She is asking, have any extraterrestrials ever mentioned the concept to you of a divine counterpart twin flame, or is that just a 3D concept?
Actually, they have. Vesna, one thing that's kind of interesting around the twin flame thing is, sorry if this is too much information, but last year and the year before, I was having a lot of marital problems, Dave, as you're all aware. And I had one group of extraterrestrials trying to push me towards one person, and I had, let me just be very honest, I had white extraterrestrials that were, they look like an offshoot of Grey or Arcturian, something like that, but they didn't look like Danny, so I knew they weren't quite the same variety of Arcturian. And they were pushing me towards a friend of mine. But then I had other extraterrestrials. I had a group of towns that were saying, nope, we want you to stay with your husband. And then I had about 3 or 4 different groups trying to push one or the other at me. And so there is, one group was saying that, hey, this other person is the other half of your soul, the other half, like your twin. And it does get really confusing because you're trying to determine, okay, so which one is being honest? Which one has their own agenda? What do I need to see from this? So yes, Vesna, they have mentioned twin flames. And sometimes if they know you have a strong past life connection with someone, they can try to take that energy and in one sense use it against you because you'll have that energetic remembrance with someone. And if they want you to be that person for whatever reason, they will bring up that energy and will bring that person into your dream time, your astral state quite a bit. So I hope that answers your question.
Sounds like a good concept. Sounds good. I can't believe this show is over.
Me either.
That went by very, very quick. I do want to remind our listeners, Samantha, that you and I will be on in the Inception Radio Network tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Pacific, with Lorian Fenton. And that's InceptionRadioNetwork.com if you want to hear more of Samantha and more of me tomorrow. And then, of course, at 9 o'clock, you come back to Spaced Out Radio and you listen to the crypto guru, Ronald Murphy. Samantha, thank you so much for being on our show tonight, as you do the second Tuesday of every month. Much love for you, young lady, the redhead. And, you know, it's you're making a very strong statement as to why you are one of the best out there when it comes to being an extraterrestrial expert, if there is one.
Thank you so much for having me, Dave, and thanks for your great questions, guys. I hope I answered them at least to some degree of satisfaction.
And you hold on, I will talk to you in a minute. I'm going to close out the show. Our man Bumblefoot is playing. Little Brother is Watching brings us in and takes us home every night on Spaced Out Radio. You know what? I talked to Bumblefoot today. He wants to be a guest on the show. So we're going to hook up a time where the guitar god, the man, the myth, the guitar legend will be on with us on Spaced Out Radio. Maybe we'll get Samantha on so he can ask her some ET questions. I don't know. But you can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. Follow us on Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. On YouTube, Spaced Out Radio Show. And of course, our new look website is spacedoutradio.com. While you're checking things out there, like the SOR Space Wire by Eric Markham, join the SOR Space Travelers Club. It's only $5 a month. Mr. Bumblefoot, take us home.
This is the new totalitarian state. 1,000 eyes are waiting for you to break. Stay in line, don't make a mistake. We're watching. We watched you for so